More about this Passport.
Yeah, so the Passport is a 5-passenger midsize SUV, and the Dakota package includes WeatherTech floor mats, cargo tray, splash guards at no additional charge. And you can drive off our lot today in a new Honda Passport at MSRP and get the Dakota package at no additional cost.
Now that's a fantastic deal.
It is a pretty good deal. It really is. And Corwin Honda has over 30 new Passports on the ground or arriving soon, so hurry in for the best selection today.
Thanks so much, Justin. So you can drive off in a new 2022 Honda Passport today. And with the awesome selection at Corwin Honda, you're going to be able to be picky about what one you want. Corwin Honda. Shop online at corwinauto.com.
Bison Nation! Catch your Bison at Barcode this season. And before every home game, hop on the Barcode Bison Bus to the Dome to tailgate, and then back to Barcode to watch and cheer on your Bison. For only $15. The action only gets better after kickoff with beer bucket specials. That's 5 beers for just $20. You can mix and match Coors Light, Coors Banquet, Carbless Lemon Lime, Carbless Cranberry, and Carbless Black Raspberry. This season, the Bison are at Barcode, veterans just south of Costco. Go Bison!
I love listening to Bison 1660, but what am I supposed to do when I can't be by a radio?
I want to hear all of the coverage of NDSU athletics, but I don't live in North Dakota.
Never fear, the Bison 1660 app is here. Wherever you go and however you want to listen, you can listen for free on the Bison 1660 mobile app. Download it today on your app store and listen live to the Insiders, Fox Sports Radio, and all of our coverage of NDSU athletics. The Bison 1660 app, powered by Thunder Seed. Thunder Seed, first in the field.
Work for a brand you can trust. Become part of the Case IH family in Fargo. Case IH understands the importance of family. That is why they offer 11 paid holidays and an annual family picnic. In addition, they offer tuition reimbursement, a $5,000 relocation bonus, and a $4,000 sign-on bonus to set you up right. Current openings include warehouse associates, diagnostic technicians, welders, and CNC operators. If you're ready to join the Case IH family, apply today at cnhindustrial.com and click careers.
The construction is almost done at the Gateway Clearance Center, and the construction sale is going strong. No negotiations necessary, and payments starting as low as $99 a month. That's right, payments starting at just $99 a month at the Gateway Clearance Center, with a great selection of clean used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And right now, every vehicle is sale priced. Enjoy extra discounts for the construction sale going on now at Gateway Clearance Center on South University Drive in Fargo, or online at fmclearancecenter.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
A tough start to the year for the Cowboys. ESPN reports quarterback Dak Prescott is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with that injured right thumb. He's scheduled to have surgery today. Reports say the Steelers are concerned star pass rusher T.J. Watt is done for the year. He suffered a torn pectoral muscle in Sunday's win over the Bengals. They're awaiting test results. Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen will have an MRI today, according to NFL media. He left Sunday's game against the Raiders. Chargers have a quick turnaround playing the Chiefs Thursday night. In a cover story with Rolling Stone, Steph Curry revealed the Warriors explored making a blockbuster deal to acquire Kevin Durant this summer. In baseball, the Dodgers are the first team to clinch a spot in the postseason with an 11-2 win over the Padres. And after he won the U.S. Open, 19-year-old Carlos Alcaraz is now the youngest man ever to be ranked number 1 in the world. I'm Nick Cope.
You've got the Insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. There's 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
A Monday morning meat sandwich of overreaction. Hello, everybody. Welcome back from the weekend. We are here live with you inside our Thoroldson Ethanol Broadcast Center, ready for the Insiders on a Monday. We didn't keep a lot of things from Jeff Culhane when he was here. That's one thing I'm keeping. The Monday morning meat sandwich of overreaction, especially after week 1 of the NFL season. How are we doing? How are we feeling? Bison 2-0. I'm feeling good because get the Gallerhorn ready. The Vikings are 1-0. All about it. The Packers are 0-1. Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson for MVP and president and mayor and everything else. The kid is special, and looking forward to the rest of this NFL season. Catch up with me again next week. We'll see exactly how I'm feeling, but right now we're feeling pretty good. Andy Rickoff, Rob Hipp, and Micah Bindi in here with you. We want you to be a part of the show as well. You can call or text us 701-476-1660. You can also email us, studio@bison1660.com, the Rick Electric email inbox. And if all of that wasn't enough to get you going on a Monday, how about this? It's Arizona game week. Let's go. Fire it up. Chance to take down an FBS opponent and a Power 5 opponent in the Wildcats.
You know it.
Darn right we do. The head coach, Matt Entz, will have a game week press conference about NDSU and Arizona coming up later today at 2 o'clock. You can hear that right here on this station, Bison 1660. Our press conference coverage brought to you by Bonanza Egg. And, a coach's show tonight, too, with Rob Hipp and Coach Entz. That one starts at 6:30 here on Bison 1660. Rob, how you doing, sir?
A lot of fun. How you guys doing, by the
I'm
way?
doing great.
You have the bubbly water over there. That looks good. Micah's got something going on over there. I've got the diet root beer going on. I mean, it's a great Monday morning. And NFL, as you mentioned, underway. I'll talk a little bit about what I'm happy about. People will be a little bit surprised as a quote-unquote fan of a certain team. I'm a little bit excited about a certain situation. I'm not excited for somebody to get hurt, but I'm excited that somebody's not going to be playing for a few weeks.
Yeah, that was interesting.
So looking forward to that.
So
if you can figure out what that is, let us know.
For those who don't know already, you've told us, you've said on the air, you're a Cowboys fan. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're from Texas. I don't think it doesn't shock anybody. Probably Cowboys or Texans, right? Most likely. But they have a loss in week number 1, and now Dak Prescott is hurt. And and just the strangest part about the Cowboys, who breaks the news? Whenever there's an injury, what's the first thing we hear? Oh, we don't know yet. MRI. It's kept close to the vest. We have no idea. He might play. He might not play. No, Jerry Jones, the owner, after the game, like an hour, he's out for 6 weeks. See you. Just like this, there's no secrets with the Cowboys. There's nothing there. And again, you're not hoping. It's not funny because he got hurt, but it's just how the news comes out of the Cowboys franchise always just floors me. But Dak Prescott, his hand hit on something during the game, and all of a sudden, just like that, it's a broken thumb, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. And the Cowboys, from being favorites for that division, that now they might finish last in that division, people are saying, because if you don't have Dak, now Cooper Rush is the starting quarterback who beat the Vikings a year ago. But if you don't have Dak, chances are that's not going to be a good couple of months there for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and as a fan, I've never been I know you're supposed to get behind your team and support all the guys, but look, the reality is I've never been a fan since day one. I didn't like how things ended for Romo. I hated that for him. I was a huge Tony Romo fan. Still believe, he was one of the greatest that ever played at that organization, even though he never got a ring. It was one of the most underrated players of all time in the NFL as well. But, yeah, man, I've just never been a Dak fan, and I don't know what it is. And a friend of mine actually is friends with him. He went to school with him, and he's like, why do you talk so much smack against Dak? And I said, I just don't think he's the real deal. The Cowboys put so much emphasis in these guys that end up doing nothing. And it's the same old story. What are we, 27 years now as a fan for me, 27 years, and now the hope. Every year you build up this expectation of like, oh, this is our year. This is our year. And then something happens, and it's now no longer your year. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not a fan of people getting injured, but as a fan, I'm like, all right, Dak's out. Let's see what else we can do now.
But you got Cooper Rush.
Yeah, but we'll see. I mean, but the problem that you just said, it doesn't matter who you have on the Cowboys team. It doesn't matter who you have.
Yeah.
The problem is...
Never been good enough.
No, the problem is you have someone at the very top that breaks information that you just said that is the one that is the problem with the $8 billion NFL leading franchise money-wise. That is the issue with the Cowboys. Now, and it always has been.
Don't get me wrong. If I owned an NFL franchise, just me as like a fan owning one, if I owned one, I'd probably be breaking news left. I'd be way too involved in the franchise. Way too involved in the day-to-day operations and stuff. But owner, you just can't do it. You got to hire guys, head coaches, GMs, president, whatever. You hire guys to do the job. You got to let them do the job. And Jerry seems to meddle a little too much.
One that meddled a lot, and it was actually cool. I think the fans liked it. go back to the NBA with Mark Cuban and the Dallas Mavericks. I liked his meddling, though. This guy's out there shooting free throws in the warm-ups with the guys. I would love to see Jerry Jones passing a ball just to see how far he could actually throw it.
Mark Cuban's meddling isn't like, okay, you have to sign this guy, trade for that. Like, Jerry Jones is the legitimate GM of the Cowboys. He's putting the roster and the whole thing together. Mark Cuban lets his guys he hires actually do the stuff he hired him to do. But, whatever. I guess you move on from that. But it's bad for the Cowboys, clearly. And now that division opens up. Not that it wasn't completely open before, because like I said, no teams have won it in back-to-back years since 2007. I've said that multiple times on this show. But without Dak, if you're an Eagles fan today, you're waking up happy. They barely escape the Detroit Lions. But, hey, if Dak's out, the Eagles are clear favorites, right? If you're Washington, only a 6-point win, but Carson Wentz and the Commanders, they beat the Jaguars. They got the win. They're 1-0. If Dak's out for 2 months, that thing opens up for them too. Why can't they beat the Eagles? Why can't they win that division? It's absolutely up for grabs. Another thing I'm very interested in, again, because Jerry Jones, he's in a win-now mode, right? He wants to win here right now. He does not want to be like, okay, after week 1, this is a lost year. Whatever, Dak got hurt. It's week 1. That's not how Jerry Jones operates. I'm interested in, does Dallas look to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? And that affects us here. Because Trey Lance, we'll dive into that. We have a guest from San Francisco coming on later on in the week. Obviously, Trey Lance and the 49ers lost week 1. You can say what you want about Trey Lance's performance in the opening week, but they still have Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster. They said, hey, we might still trade him. They still could. The salary is very manageable for Dallas on Dallas's end. You could make that thing work. I don't know exactly what their salary cap situation is. But if I'm Dallas and I'm looking at 6 to 8 weeks without my starting quarterback, but I have a roster I think could make it to the playoffs and make it deep, because they think that, whether you think it's right or not, they think that. Do they trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? I think that's a real thing.
Yeah, do they? Or do they do what they always do in typical Cowboys fashion, is go find players that shouldn't even be playing? They have a history of bringing people out of baseball to play quarterback. Chad Hutchinson comes to mind immediately. Who is this guy? Looks like he's pitching instead of throwing a football out there. So
wasn't Romo a nobody?
Yeah, but he was a somebody in college though.
Yeah.
He didn't play minor league baseball. He stuck to football. Now he is a great golfer, but we're not going to go down that whole train. But yeah, anyways, let's see what happens. I'm excited to see who's going to step up, who's going to be that guy, and are they going to bring on a baseball player?
In Cooper Rush's lone start against the Vikings, he played pretty good.
Sure did. I remember that one well. I bet my hair on it.
300-plus yards against the Vikings, 2 touchdowns.
Sure did.
Hey, you got Cooper Rush there.
They do have Cooper Rush. I guess they got that, but you're not going to win. I mean, he might win you a start. 6 to 8 weeks without Dak. That's massive in week number 1. And also, another injury to keep your eyes on. There is going to be news today about Mac Jones. Had a back injury at the end of that game as the Patriots fell to the Dolphins. If Mac Jones is out for 4 to 6 weeks, I don't know if it's the same situation as Dak here, but Bill Belichick's not getting any younger. He's pretty old. He probably doesn't want to just waste a year and say, okay, we'll get him next year. And Bill Belichick loved Jimmy Garoppolo so much, he wanted to trade Tom Brady. He wanted to get rid of Tom Brady and keep Jimmy Garoppolo when they ended up trading Jimmy G to San Francisco. So would Bill say, let's go get Jimmy? Why not? Bring him over here. If we got to wait, 2 months to get Mac Jones back, whatever it is. And we don't know the severity of the back injury yet, but a couple of injuries, we said that it could happen. And in week 1, it happened like that, where now Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm sure the Niners are going to get calls, or the Niners are going to make calls, one of the two, to see, okay, now we've got a little leverage. Can we leverage this into a second round or a third round pick or something like that? Absolutely. I would be.
And one thing that we have to keep in mind is that Jimmy still has that no trade clause, so Jimmy has to approve the trade.
True.
And would he want to go back to the Patriots? Would he even want to go to the Cowboys? Because in my opinion, I don't think the Cowboys are all that talented on offense. They have CeeDee Lamb. Their offensive line isn't all that great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd rather go back to the Patriots if I was Jimmy Garoppolo, not the Cowboys.
Yeah. Probably have a little more winnable division with the Cowboys than when you're in the one with the Bills and possibly the Dolphins, who looked okay at least in week number 1. So a couple things to keep your eye on. We will as this week goes on. I'm sure there'll be some Jimmy Garoppolo news out there for maybe the Cowboys and potentially even the Patriots if Mac Jones' injury is a little bit more severe. Show today, got a couple of great guests. Obviously, it's a Monday after a Bison football game and another Bison win as they took down North Carolina A&T 43-3. Phil Hansen, the Hall of Famer, will be joining us at 11:30. Always like to get Phil's reaction to the games and what he's seeing through 2 games and Also some preview, of course, from Phil going into this game against Arizona. You got an FBS opponent. This is the week Bison Nation and, frankly, this team and coaching staff has probably been circling for a little bit, waiting for. They go week by week, but this one's always in the back of your mind of, okay, that'll be a fun one when we get to that one, at some point. So we'll have Phil on at 11:30. And then at noon today, typically he's with us on Tuesdays, but today we'll talk with Easton Stick at noon because the Chargers have a short week. They play Thursday night football, the first Thursday night football game of the year, which I always think is weird because last week, obviously, the Bills and the Rams played on Thursday night, but it wasn't Thursday night football because it wasn't only on Amazon Prime, which is where this game for the Chargers and Chiefs will be. So this is technically the first Thursday night football game of the year with the Chargers heading to Kansas City against the Kansas City Chiefs. So short week for Easton, so he's moved up a day with us. Instead of tomorrow, he'll be with us today at noon, brought to you by Red River Commodities, Men's Hair Company, and the Spirit Shop. Chargers get a win in week number 1, 24-19, over the Las Vegas Raiders. So that's the guest lineup for you. As I said, get involved with the show. We want you involved, 701-476-1660 or studio at bison1660.com. And you can comment on our Facebook page. You can watch all the shows live there on our Facebook page, Bison1660, via the Horsch Cam, Horsch, Farming with Passion, online at horsch.com, HORSCH.com. Appreciate everybody watching us out there. Let's take a little bit of a dive into the 43-3 and the blowout of the Aggies. I think we saw that one coming. It was a fairly young team, a team that had never been in the Fargo Dome before, with the quarterback making his second career start in Zach Yeager. You kind of saw how that one could go if it got lopsided early, and it did get lopsided early. The Bison offense is clicking on every cylinder right now, and the defense doing kind of what we thought they would, basically shutting down an opponent and keeping them out of the end zone.
And before we dig into this really deep, I do want to remind Bison Nation, also remind you, Andy and Micah, that my pick'em, I was 7-0 on the first week of pick'ems, and I predicted the NDSU score to be 42-3. I was 1 point off.
Crowd cheer sound effect, I think. That's fair. Yeah, pump yourself up. I do it, yeah.
That's beginner's luck, though, right?
Absolutely. I'm going to make the Bison 1660 pick'ems much more difficult. I'm going to have teams you've never heard of. We're going to go to, like, European football or something. Just make it a little bit more difficult. But that's impressive. 7-0. I don't think Cole Gierk has ever done 7-0. I believe Kyle Emanuel's never gone 7-0. Perfect. So gauntlet thrown down from Rob Hipp. 7-0 on that one.
Way to get started. That will probably never happen again, but, it was a good way to get started. But, yeah, going back to the game, good game, week number 2. And I even told Phil as we went on pregame, we were in the middle of a commercial break. I said, I feel like there's more people at this game than there was in week 1. And there was. There was well over 16,000, almost 16,300. We were just under 16,000. So students showed up huge. Got to give a big round of support and applause to the students section. I only counted maybe 2 or 3 empty seats.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. We got to get out there. I know that this Bison team, historically, you've got a great shot at winning. You very rarely lose at home. But don't get complacent. Come out, support the guys. We saw it, and I'm going to tell you, man, it was louder. You could feel more energy, and it also doesn't help whenever you give up a touchdown on the opening drive. Now, we gave up a field goal, but that was it. You mentioned earlier, Andy, the offense is clicking. The defense, again, doing a great job. We saw another strip fumble return for a touchdown. Dawson Weber tied, going back all the way to 1925. It was the longest return in history. You got to go all the way back to 1925 for that stat. 79-yard fumble return. Loved what I was seeing all game long. The only blemish, and I'll talk to Coach about it tonight, was just some of the tackling. I think there was a better job that we could have done on the defensive side with some tackling. But outside of that, everyone was kind of saying, hey, this is a step-up game. Drake was the first step. Now you're playing A&T. That's the next step to get you ready for Arizona. And I'm happy that now I can start asking Coach Entz about Arizona because he doesn't like to look too far ahead, of course.
Of course. And we definitely will be touching on that one on the Bison Football Radio Show with the head coach, Matt Entz, tonight at 6:30. That fumble recovery by Dawson Weber, you mentioned, 79 yards to the house, ties the school record with Claudie Miller back in 1925 at UND. Actually, there in 1925 for Claudie Miller, and that's leather helmet days. There's a picture of it. Ryan Peralt, the great SID from NDSU, with the picture there up on Twitter, and leather helmet days. So that one's a special one for a little bit. Hard to believe, all the years of great Bison defense has never had a fumble recovered for 80 yards or longer.
One thing, going back to that game, too, about the rushing side, though, we gave up too many rushing yards. Bashul Tootin is a great running back.
He was really good.
And we mentioned we're going to keep our eye on him throughout the game. He was really good. That was some of the missed tackles that I was talking about, but he rushed for over 120 yards, and I didn't have a chance to go back and look to see when was the last rusher that we allowed that in a regular season. But as the season goes on, you've really got to clamber down, hold that rush to a minimum, because that's what the defense is known for. That's what Code Green does. So just keep that rush contained. Don't allow another Tootin to kind of go off, and I think we're going to be good heading into Arizona. We're already the favored, but you got to approach it the right way. And, you go back a year ago, Arizona only won one game. They started out a little bit hot. They were trying to ride on that momentum of their win earlier in the season to get started in week 1, but that got shut down pretty quick in week 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will definitely be previewing that game quite a bit throughout the week. Already got a couple of guests from Arizona scheduled to join us as this week goes on. Jason Scheer from 24/7 Sports. I've had him on a few times. He will join us on Wednesday, and more to come as we go on throughout the week. A few people have chimed in on the Epic Company's hotline for us, 701-476-1660, but also on the text line. Dave in Minot with the good, the bad, and the ugly says the good, the Bison offense looked multidimensional and no turnovers. Code Green causing turnovers. Bad, tackling has to be better. The ugly, field goal kicking is not good, and we will need it at some time this year. And then a Go Chargers from Dave in Minot. Congratulations on that 1-0 start for your Chargers, Dave. Appreciate the text. I'd agree with a lot of that stuff. Bison offense, multidimensional, running the ball well. I think it was 10 different guys getting a rushing attempt, including the 2 quarterbacks, Cole Payton and Cam Miller. So 10 different players running the ball at one point. Obviously, Zach Mathis, 2 touchdowns, 2 games. Radio FM Media, Bison 1660 Rub, well in place on that one. Just kidding, but congratulations to Zach. It was really fun to get to know him over the summer, and happy for some of the success here in the first couple of weeks. Cam Miller fit a couple of passes into some pretty tight windows. I think talking with James Hendricks on the postgame, there's a few throws where he says against a good team, that probably isn't a completion. Those ones to the far side of the field got to throw those with a little bit more velocity, more towards the outside shoulder than the inside shoulder, and that's picking things apart a little bit. But James obviously knows football way better than I do, so I trust him on it. Overall, I thought Cam had a really good game again, throwing the ball, didn't need it a whole lot, and then running the ball. I know when you look at the overall total, not even 200 yards rushing or whatever. The other thing that plays into that is one drive was a 1-yard drive. Hunter Lipke, 1 yard. That's all you had because of the pick by Kaiser. And then you had another short field of like 30-something yards. So when the field's getting cut into a third or less, that you're going to have less rushing yards overall. I thought still a good day for the offense. The tackling, like you said, Rob, and like Dave says here, need to be better at tackling. Give Tootin some credit. Guy's a thick, strong, downhill runner. I was impressed with that kid. Bashal Tootin was a heck of a running back. There was no arm tackling that guy. You had to get 2 or 3 guys there, and you really had to gang tackle them. And that's something where younger linebackers haven't had as many of those game reps. You think maybe I can just bring this guy down this way? Well, you learn, okay, I got to wrap up a little bit more. We got to make sure we're in the right spot. And that's something Jackson Hankey was so good at in his time here at NDSU. You just need some of those linebackers to, they learn that lesson now against Tootin. I'm sure there'll be some more tackling drills this week, and hopefully that gets fixed. I don't really have any worries about tackling with NDSU because I've never seen it be a problem for more than a game here or a random game there. And then the kicking stuff, Will Cardinal missed another one. It was, I believe, a 45-yarder, something around there for Will. Missed a short one in week 1, obviously. I think there are, some limitations to the length for Griffin Crosa. Somebody did point out on our postgame show on the text line that he made a 40-something yarder a couple of years ago. I believe it was against Delaware where it bounced off the crossbar and went in. He did make it from 40-plus, but again, that's bouncing off the crossbar. You get 1 more mile per hour wind. You miss it by just a little bit on the hit. You're not making that if it's off the crossbar. So that's one of the reasons Will Cardinal is getting some of those longer field goals. I know he's missed a couple here. If he hits a game winner against Arizona, all is going to be forgotten. That's kind of how the field goal kicking game works. Hopefully they get it sorted out. I got confidence they will. But I would think on some of the shorter field goals, if it's within his range, they'll definitely be using Griffin Crosa because he's been just more accurate so far.
Kicking game's important. I mean, that's one area that we keep hearing about week in and week out. Phil Hansen obviously already talks about it a lot, and so that'll make or break you in some games. So you've got to make sure that you find a way to kind of get that cleaned up. Coach Entz talked about it on the TV show after the game as well, saying, hey, that's some things that we're going to have to continue to work on. So very quick, I wanted to go back to Cam Miller just for a second because you talked about some of his passing and some fans who had called in and said, hey, you didn't dive those in or you didn't dial them in. Maybe against another opponent that wouldn't have worked. Do you feel that maybe Cam has that IQ now to know when he can make those kind of passes against an opponent like an A&T, where maybe he won't make that against a better opponent? Has he started to develop that kind of IQ, Andy? Because there were several plays where he threw the ball away, and I was telling Phil in the broadcast, I said, that's great football IQ right there. Nobody was open. He threw it away. Kind of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he's getting better at it. I mean, that's something you'll learn as you play more snaps, and I think we assume that Cam Miller's this guy that's played, 3 seasons worth of games where he just hasn't. I think he had 10 career starts coming into the season. So now it'll be up to 12, I guess, at this point. It's not even a full season's worth of games, really. It's a regular season, but not a full season for NDSU when you're considering usually you're going to Frisco. So he's learning those things. I think he's gotten a lot better at it. Also, the thing for Cam that, some people have always said is he's not Easton Stick or Trey Lance in terms of the athletic ability to run and pick up a ton of yards on the ground. The quarterback run game is still used. It was used a couple of times. But in terms of tucking it and running, he's not someone that's going to pick up the 20, 25-yarders on the ground, so he stays in the pocket a little bit more, and that means you're not able to escape the pressure all the time, so you have to throw the ball away. I like that he's throwing the ball away a little bit when needed. But we haven't really seen it a lot because, again, haven't had to pass the ball a ton.
No. And then you go back to A&T, you mentioned they started with their second week in a row with their quarterback, Zach Yeager. He threw that pick, and that was it for him. They're like, okay, we're done. Yep. And that was it. He did not play any more after that during that ball game. So Coach Green put the pressure on him. Just second career
start for him. A youngster coming into the Dome. I didn't think that was going to go well, and it didn't go well. How about Spencer Wagee?
Oh, yeah. How about that?
To talk about needing a game record, and Spencer's been that in his career, but I think we all forgot how impactful he can be. Was in the backfield, it seemed like, on every other snap for A&T. Obviously had the forced fumble early on that really got the game out of hand, and then another sack and a couple of tackles for loss. Spencer Wagee, that disruptor that you really need.
Yeah, and it's good to have that. And one thing that I'm starting to learn very quickly and what makes a good football team, and Bison Nation already knows this, is every week you're going to have different players step up. It's not always going to be the same guy. It's not always going to be a skill position player that you hear of commonly. It's going to be somebody different every single week. And when you start hearing different guys being named the players of the game, that's a good sign. You don't want to hear the same guy every single week.
Yeah, you got some serious depth. Some more people are texting us. Again, 701-476-1660. Pat Rock, father of Jake Rock, saying, Crosa hits from 48 in practice. That's great. Not a game. Practice isn't a game. And they might be this week. Maybe the coaching staff will say, okay, Griffin's our guy. We're going with him. We're going to trust he's got the leg. Maybe he can hit it in practice, and they like the distance. Maybe they do. I don't know. But 48 in practice isn't quite the game. It's not the same situation or scenario. If they go with Will, you got to trust that Will is going to be able to make one. And all it takes is one, right? People forget. The last FBS game, Cam Peterson. Cam wasn't automatic. I remember multiple people calling or texting us on this station, oh, we got to go away from Cam. We got to find somebody else. Cam's not the guy. He can't hit the clutch kicks. He's just not good enough. And then he hits a walk-off against Iowa, and everything is forgotten. And then the rest of that season, he was like automatic. So, things can change in a hurry is all I'm saying in the kicking game. Same thing in the NFL. Remember, like Mason Crosby was missing everything for like a month. The Packers stuck with him, and then he went on a streak of like 30 in a row that he made for the Packers. The Vikings, Daniel Carlson, you cut him because he's awful against the Packers, and now he's an all-pro kicker. Kicking kind of goes through small lulls, but then when it's on and it's hot, it can be really, really good. So I don't just want to give up on Will after a couple of rough kicks. When, again, it's easier to swallow those kicks when they didn't matter in the end. Now, if he misses a game winner and it affects something, then, yeah, you got to look at it even a little bit more closely. So that from Pat Rock on the text line. Donley in Jamestown saying, do you guys know anything on the Eli Mostert injury status? All we know is what you guys have heard. Coach Entz said after the game, I haven't got a chance to talk with the trainers, haven't got a chance to go look at this stuff, was pressed on it a little bit more, and he said, hey, obviously it's in an air cast. You don't bring the air cast out for a sprained ankle or something like that. Like, we know it was a fairly serious injury. They had to go through the MRI process. They had to go through all of that, so they don't know. We don't know if it fractured this, fractured that. We don't know any of that, or if anything is even broken, quite honestly. We'll find out, I'm sure, at the press conference today. Matt Entz will have his weekly press conference, 2 o'clock, right here on this station. Tune in for that. I'm sure we'll find out more information on Eli Mostert. Hoping the best for the kid. Not just because he's a good player. He's a good kid. And got a chance to talk to him and his family a little bit. I know that's tough for him. His brother Will is on the team, too. I know that's going to be someone he leans on throughout this process. But you hate to see that for a player of any caliber, but especially for a player that is in line for a big year and someone that was going to get a lot of snaps and a lot of chance to impact games. You hated to see Eli go down.
Yeah, and you hate it right at the beginning of the season, too. As you said, you don't want anybody to get injured. You hate it at any time, but especially the beginning of the season. There's so much energy that's already being built into this season again, trying to go for that 10th national championship. I know the coach doesn't look ahead, but the fans do. and that's on his mind. And so now how does that change the trajectory, and who's going to kind of slide in and take that place for him? Again, the depth is there, but how is that going to affect the season going on and once you get into conference play?
Yeah, absolutely. And then Paul texting us, it took not even 20 minutes. This one came in a couple minutes ago, and we actually had emails on this before the show even started. Scott Frost was fired at Nebraska. They tried to sneak it in there right before the NFL game started yesterday, but Scott Frost, they lose to Georgia Southern. I think the final was 45-42, and Scott Frost is fired on Sunday. We wondered, could that happen if they lose to UND week 2? They won that game. Obviously, he was still the coach, and then they lose to Georgia Southern. People thought this could be a 3-0 start or 4-0 start, something like that. Instead, it's 1-2. And even though if they had waited 3 weeks, they would have saved $7.5 million. They fired him on Sunday. He's no longer the head coach of Nebraska. And there was reports out there on Twitter of coaches that could be in line for Nebraska. People think could be in line for Nebraska. And yes, Matt Entz's name was on the tweet. I believe it was Bruce Feldman tweeted out a list of possible head coaches for Nebraska to look at. Chris Kleiman, by the way, was also on that tweet. That's all it is at this point, people. It's just who are good coaches out there that could potentially at some point be in line for the Nebraska job. Paul did text us. Has it been reported or rumored about Coach Entz to Nebraska with a couple of question marks? Thought I heard that somewhere. It's just a couple of people are tweeting. There's an opening at a Big Ten school, and people are saying who would be good for that spot. There's no news there, not even anything at all in terms of that at this point. So is Coach Entz really good? Yes, of course. I think he's more than deserving to get looks at other jobs, but he's not going anywhere, folks. Let's calm that stuff, calm the waters a little bit, but obviously an opening there for Nebraska. I would assume Mark Whipple, their offensive coordinator, just takes that thing over for the rest of the season. It'd be really hard to get anybody now, obviously, when you're a couple of weeks into the season. And if I'm a head coach, like if I'm a recruit, am I going to go play for a coach that leaves the team in the middle of the season? Like, just say randomly, just throw out Chris Kleiman because he was mentioned in the tweet. If you're Chris Kleiman, you leave Kansas State in the middle of the season, then you go and try and recruit people that come play for you when you just left a team in the middle of the season. I think that would be difficult. So I don't think they're going to get a coach to leave a program and come be the head coach in Nebraska in the middle of the season, the middle of September, right at the start of a season. So I would assume probably an interim coach the rest of the season and then whatever at the end of the season. But yeah, absolutely 100% just rumors at this point because a couple of tweets because Coach Entz has done a really good job here. They've won championships. They've won a lot of games. And, of course, his name's going to come up when you have an opening like that.
Yeah, and it doesn't hurt, when you got a guy, Pete Thamel, that has almost 250,000 followers on Twitter, puts out the tweet. So you got a guy with that many followers. Yes, Pete Thamel has it. Yeah, and he put it out, and, there was 10 other names on that list as well. But, yeah, when you're the best in the FCS, of course your name's going to be tossed out there.
Yeah,
so,
it has to be out there. Yeah. So there's the news on that one. I know we already had a couple of people chime in on that one, emails and texts, so I'll just make sure we get that out of here at the very beginning of the show. Let's take a break, though. We'll break you. We'll come back. You're listening to The Insiders, brought to you by Proceed, home of the Right Choice and Right Stuff programs, and online at proceed.net. And we'll take a break, come back with the Hall of Famer, Phil Hansen, coming up next.
This is The Insiders on your exclusive home for North Dakota State Athletics, Bison 1660.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed, think Proceed. Proceed.net, great seed at a reasonable price.
Our Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. The Road to the Ring remained unblemished in Week 2 for the Bison versus North Carolina A&T as NDSU rolled to a 43-3 victory over the Aggies. North Dakota State hit gold early on the opening possession with a 40-yard touchdown pass from Ken Miller to Zach Mathis. For Mathis, it was his second career touchdown in as many weeks. The Bison also scored 21 points off turnovers, including a 79-yard fumble return in the third quarter by Dawson Weber. Linebacker James Kaiser also had his first career interception and a return to the 1-yard line that set up a Hunter Lipke touchdown run on the next play. The Road to the Ring is brought to you by Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry. They have a long history and reputation for quality quality workmanship, and rock-solid pricing. Whether diamond engagement rings, custom jewelry, or repairs, let Brenda and the team at Schmidt's Gems and Fine Jewelry create a legacy for you and your family. Next up for the Bison, they hit the road to battle the Arizona Wildcats this Saturday.
Doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, you're always welcome where there's Jim Beam. Small town guy in a big city guy in a small town. Wherever Jim Beam is welcome, you'll be welcome. Country guy at a rock show, Viking fan at a Packer game.
And the throw incomplete. Oh, what a pressing.
Just look for the Jim Beam, and you know you're always welcome. Your friends at Jim Beam remind you to drink responsibly.
Hi, it's Kelly, and I want to tell you about my great experience with Valley Service Mechanical. They were polite and very easy to deal with. They were knowledgeable and helped me understand every step of the process, from the initial discussion of purchase options to the installation. It was a top-notch experience. If you ever want to work with professionals, I would strongly recommend Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
30 years and counting. CI Apparel, #1 in corporate, collegiate, and high school apparel. We've partnered with college bookstores and high schools to retailers to bring you high-quality game day apparel. Whether for work or play, every day is game day at CI Apparel with brands you love. Nike, Ogio, Under Armour, and the CI Sport brand. With competitive pricing and fast turnaround times, we help you work harder, play harder, and cheer harder in style. CI Apparel, 2121 43rd Street South in Fargo, and CIapparel.com.
From the court to the field and everywhere in between. Your home for NDSU athletics. Bison 1660.
11:33 on this Monday morning meat sandwich of overreaction to Week 1 of the NFL season. We're here with you inside our Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Theraldson Ethanol, one of the nation's largest ethanol facilities, a 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant located just west of Castleton. Fuel your future by joining their growing team today. View open positions at theraldsonethanol.com. And this hour of The Insiders brought to you by Rick Electric. When you need electrical work, you need Rick Electric. For over 56 years, Rick Electric has been providing excellent electrical services for homes and businesses. Visit them online at rickelectric.com. Let's jump on over to the phone lines now and bring on the Hall of Famer, Phil Hansen. Nice enough to give us some time after a Bison game week Monday. Phil, always great to have you on. Thanks for joining us once again, sir. 2-0 on the season. Pretty good start for Code Green and that Bison offense.
Not bad. I guess it was as expected, though, but looking forward to Arizona. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yes. You and a couple of thousand other Bison fans, I think, looking forward to this one. No doubt about that. And we'll touch on that game here with you in just a bit. Your thoughts overall? I think that the offense is exactly what you expected. Was the defense sharper, in your opinion, here than they were in Week 1?
Well, I'm kind of a believer in. I think teams, as they progress during the season, I think they make the most improvement from Week 1 to Week 2, and then I think it mellows out and it slows down a little bit. But I thought there was a big jump, especially for some of those younger players. They just look more confident. That linebacker Kopp, I really like him. I really like what he shows out there on the field. I mean, that's just one youngster. There's a lot of them out there that have showed improvement.
We didn't get to see a lot. We had Barika Panu as our kind of sleeper of the game. He didn't get too many carries in that ball game, Phil, but do you still feel like he's primed to have a breakout sometime sooner or later this season?
You know what? There's so many good players in front of him. I think his only chance is going to be if some of those guys get nicked up and need to take a week off. Not discounting his talent at all. It needs to be developed and honed a little bit. But it's just there's a lot of talented guys in front of him that have a little seniority, I would think.
Phil, you said earlier, as expected, of course, the victory. You go back over 2 games, the Bison offense now scoring 99 points to start the season. I mean, does that come as a surprise to you, or is this just typical Bison football?
I think it's kind of what we've become accustomed to here in Fargo with the Bison. It's that's what they do, and yeah, these are some pretty soft teams that came in, but they can't get a lot of teams to play them. But that'll change this week.
Yeah, absolutely going to change when you got an FBS opponent and a Pac-12 opponent you're taking on at their place. On the offensive side, Cam Miller, how would you rate it? It hasn't had to throw a lot, and I get that, but first-year full-time starting quarterback. You had that coming into the year. What have you thought from some of the intangibles on the field and his performance on the field so far?
Well, I couple Cam with Cole. I thought it was really, really, really interesting the way they used Cole Payton in the game. Cam Miller, undisputed starting quarterback, earned it, won a national championship last year, no question about it. But you got somebody right behind him that's good and needs playing time too. I was thinking Cole Payton would get middle of the third quarter, fourth quarter, get those downs. No. They used him. They kind of put him where I would have expected Quincy Patterson would have been here. If he would have stayed from last year, they kind of used him. It was kind of a dual quarterback thing. I mean, that was right away in the game. Thought it was very interesting how they used them. I did not expect that.
Yeah, I was kind of with you on that. How much of that, not only the Cole Payton stuff, there was the trick play from Raja Nelson. They did a 2-point conversion early on. We were asked about all these things on the post-game show. How much of that do you think is putting things on tape that now Arizona's got to practice or prepare for a little bit? And how much of that do you think is things we're going to see a little bit more throughout the season?
I personally think it was just get it on tape, make Arizona work on it, waste time on the swinging gate and things like that. If you're going to give the Bison something with the swinging gate, they're going to take it. But I think it's hard. It takes a lot of practice minutes to get guys on the right page and in the right spot with something like a swinging gate on the field goal. So I think those plays are something I think they just put out there, and obviously they're in the repertoire. The Bison had to practice them in 2 days or in practice before the season started. But no, I don't think they're going to be a staple, but they're always going to, where they see opportunities, like any good team would. You always want a deep playbook, and when you see somebody not checking something, you go to it.
Hey, go back. We're going back to your bread and butter now on the defense. Spencer Wagee, another great game. Just your thoughts on how he's performed so well.
When I think of defense, the Bison defense, I think of Saturday. I mean, the first thing, and I heard you guys talking about it earlier, the first thing that comes to my mind is Eli Mostert. I mean, just such a great guy, just arrived on the scene last year, was just steady, and just really looking forward to big things from him this year, and then that injury, which I guess we don't know the extent of it yet, but that's the first thing. It just kind of makes my heart a little heavy. But defense, I think they're solid. I was a little not worried or concerned, but I wanted to know how they're going to handle the linebacker situation. Going into the season, I was a little more apprehensive than I am now. I think they got a lot of good players there that can play in case somebody gets hurt. Defensive line, Dudenheffer, I mean, he's a guy, Heisman. It looks like they're going to use those guys. They don't have any problem putting them in. And when they were on the field, those D tackles, I mean, they looked like they belong there. I just have to get used to seeing them because I haven't seen them before. I'm not at practice every day, but obviously the coaches are very comfortable with putting them in there. And, those are the next rolling defensive linemen and names that we're going to hear and see.
Well, those first 2 games, of course, in the books, anything stand out to you a little sus so far to get things going in this season?
A little sus. No, not really. Just consistency in the kicking game. I mean, there's something I thought would be a little further down the road on. But no, offensively and defensively, I think it's pretty much as expected. I'm always happy to see young players step up and be able to fill the roles of the departed Bison. So, and I think that's pretty normal. I think they're right where they should be.
Phil Hansen again here with us on the Insiders. Let's talk about the game coming up here, Phil. This is one Bison fans have had circled for a long, long time. It's the first FBS game since that 2016 game against Iowa at the walk-off field goal, 23-21, the final. And we'll dive into that with Easton Stick a little bit later on in the show today, no doubt about that, as he played a big role in that game. These opportunities, few and far between for NDSU. How big of a matchup is this one?
Well, since they missed the Oregon game a couple of years ago because of COVID, I mean, this becomes big. It would have been big anyway, but I stayed up late Saturday night and watched part of the game, Arizona, and was at Mississippi State. And I'll tell you what, it's hard to get to sleep Saturday night. I was already kind of excited from the game, and after watching Arizona play and do some things, I got more excited for the Bison. So I think the Bison chances look good. Now they're going to have to play a really clean game, but I have no question that the Bison, playing at their top level, can absolutely compete and possibly even win this game.
So I stayed up and watched that game too, Arizona against Mississippi State, as Mississippi State goes to Arizona and beats the Wildcats. What did you think of their offense overall? Because I personally thought it seemed a little chaotic. It was a little all over the place, scrambling, just trying to make plays, and they brought in a ton of transfers this last offseason. It looked like a team that hasn't played a ton together.
Love the word chaotic. I wholeheartedly agree. Excellent word. Not that they don't have talent, but it's not honed. It's not directed. It's a little chaotic. That's exactly what I thought. And you know what? It's hard when you go the transfer route. I mean, you're bringing talent in, no question. And this DeLora that they brought in from Washington State's quarterback. I mean, he's quality player. But it takes time to get all those guys on the same page. It takes years sometimes, and a lot of game reps and practice reps. You can knock it out of the park, but to get all those guys together and on the same page, it's tough. It's tough to do the transfer way.
You mentioned DeLora, one area of concern, just kind of in my initial research, and then watching him last night, pressured at least 17 times, and on that 17 dropbacks, he was only 5 of 15 for 33 yards and 2 interceptions. You got to believe that Code Green is going to bring a lot of heat to this quarterback, Phil.
You know, there was one play, DeLora was scrambling around. It was early in the game, but he scrambled around, avoided the rush, scrambled a little more, avoided the rush, came across the field the other side, and then just launched it. It looked like a Hail Mary. And I think it was incomplete on that pass, but I'm like, oh, my goodness. The coach must be pulling his hair out, and for the Bison coaches and Bison players, they got to say, hey, this is an opportunity we can't pass up. Dawson Weber dropped a pass, interception last week. I mean, I hope those guys are licking their chops back there if something comes up like that this week. And like I said, on the road, turnovers are my stat, and you can make some big plays. You can make great things happen when you create turnovers, and you don't give turnovers away on offense. So that brought a little smile to my face that they would even do that. Now, I'm sure their coach is going to try to coach him up too, but they got it in them. But chaotic is a perfect word. Love it.
Yeah, in that game as well, Mississippi State wins 39-17. One thing I also kind of took away, now, other side of this is Mississippi State's got a really good passing attack, so you have to kind of try and prevent that as best you can. But Mississippi State was over 100 yards rushing, 109 rushing yards in that game for a team that really does not run the ball all that much. Had a couple of running backs over 6 yards a carry in that game. And a lot of it was just straight downhill running, the thing NDSU does the best, attacking the interior of the defensive line. You think that could be a strength for NDSU in this game?
Well, okay, let's reverse the roles. You just said Mississippi State ran the ball. Okay, let's look at them looking at us. We just played North Carolina A&T, and Tootin had over 100 yards on us.
True.
So are they going to think they're going to? I mean, so it depends on how you put that together and stuff. The one thing, I think Wiley, their running back, is a great runner. I think that's his name, Wiley.
Yep.
But I saw a lot of missed tackles by Mississippi State, which is the same thing I saw with the Bison against Tootin last week. So those guys, it's really hard to practice wrapping up and getting the guy on the ground. It's hard to do it, especially against your own guys. Against a bag, it's just not the same. But I hope the coaches are all over them this week about you have to be sure tackled. And this thing about going in there 100 miles an hour and dropping a shoulder into a guy and thinking you're the big man on campus and going to light him up and drop him to the ground. Hey, good backs don't go to the ground with a shoulder hit. You got to wrap up the ankles, let the second and third guy come in for the strip and all that fancy stuff. The first guy there has got to wrap up and get that guy on the ground. I'm big on that. I won't go any further.
You mentioned earlier kind of about some of those missed tackles, Phil. On the other side, Arizona missing 12 tackles, but 4 of those were against the run. How well do you think our guys are going to be able to run through this defense? They have a good defense in Arizona.
Yeah, the strength of our team, I think, this year, in my opinion, is running backs and offensive line. They go well together. I know Tyler's going to try to run the ball. He would love nothing better than to pound it and get 3 or 4 yards of play and just do that all game. Obviously, you got to have some passes in there too to broaden things up. But NDSU's a running team. We built this team over the years. These guys know the system. They need to be at their best this week against just a very formidable opponent.
And taking a look at their running backs, DJ Williams, 6'2", 225. Jonah Coleman, 5'9", 225. That's a bowling ball if I've ever heard it. 5'9", 225. And then the guy you mentioned as well, Michael Wiley at 6', 210. A little bit of everything. A little bit of the speed and elusiveness, but also a big enough body. He can go downhill and break some tackles too. So a lot of running backs. And then their quarterback, Jaden Delora, also a pretty mobile guy. He'll be able to be a bit of a dual threat option for him. Again, Phil Hansen here with us. Always appreciate your time.
Yeah, hold
Phil.
on. One other thing. Another thing that non people give a lot of credit to or substance to is, it's a 10:00 game. I mean, that's significant. I mean, for traveling teams that typically travel from the east to west, it's much harder to play in a game and at that time at night. We're not used to that. Teams coming from the west to east is much easier, but that may play a role too. I know the team is going out there a little later this week, but that's something that it is significant. I never thought it was until I traveled from Buffalo across the country to San Francisco, and it does make a difference.
How about the heat too? They're playing it later, so it's not supposed to be as hot, but it's going to be a little bit hotter there. Is that something that you have to kind of prepare for this week?
I think they said it was 84 degrees, but I think as long as the sun's down, which I hope it is in Arizona at that time of night, but I think as long as the sun isn't beating on you, I think they'll be all right. Temperatures will be hot, but I think they'll be all right.
I agree with you. Phil, looking forward to it. Looking forward to the call with you, Rob, and Cole on Saturday as well. Late night for you guys, late night for all of us, but hopefully a fun night down there in Tucson. Appreciate the time.
You bet.
Phil Hansen, they're nice enough to give us some time, and I know that relationship, you guys getting together a little bit more, and it'll be fun for you guys to be on your first road trip together, too.
Yeah, the flow's starting to work. He actually answered, I had another question for him, but it was about that late start and just the heat, and how much of a role is that going to play? Just got to hydrate quite a bit. You're out there in the desert. Things are a lot drier, so we'll see what happens. And one other takeaway from Arizona, 5 takeaways in 2 games. That is just one shy of last season's total tally. So that's why I mentioned their defense isn't terrible. This is a defense that we're going to have to be on alert for. They had a solid game with 3 takeaways last week. So we'll see how the Bison can stand up against that. I think that they're going to be victorious. But, again, got to go in it 1-0 every week.
Yeah, that play that Phil was mentioning where Jaden Delora, he ran all the way to the right and then all the way to the left and then back. And then he was just – the play took about 20 seconds because he just kept running around, avoiding pressure, and then threw up a prayer, and it was actually intercepted. He threw 3 picks in that game, Jaden Delora did. I just thought it was chaotic. That's, again, the word I used. Phil seemed to agree with it wholeheartedly. It was a chaotic-looking offense. Even on the other side, too, Mississippi State always looks chaotic. Mike Leach is just what they are offensively. They sling it all over the place, and they don't seem to really have – they have a game plan, but just it doesn't look the same as an NDSU or a team that does things, the typical standard way of football. They're just slinging the thing around. They threw it 49 times again, and both teams were a little bit chaotic in that game. So it should be a fun one between NDSU and Arizona, and we'll have plenty of coverage of that throughout the week. Having Phil on every Monday, brought to you by CI Sport, 30 years and counting. CI Apparel, #1 in corporate, collegiate, and high school apparel. Whether it's for work or play, every day is game day at CI Apparel. CI Apparel offers competitive pricing and fast turnaround time so you can work harder, play harder, and cheer harder in style online at CIapparel.com. We'll take a break, come back, wrap up hour number 1, Easton Stick to kick off hour number 2 of The Insiders on a Monday.
Hear the herd here. Bison's 1660.
We all want to be part of a winning team, right? Hi, this is Marcus with Steamatic, and I am very proud of our team. Industry experts have voted Steamatic the best method of cleaning with our patented steam cleaning process, our 24-hour service, and highly trained technicians. We do it all from carpet cleaning, air duct cleaning, fire and water damage restoration, and remember, Bison fanatics choose Steamatic.
Steamatic, call 232-4707.
When you're making decisions about your ag operation finances, you need access to the experts. This is Scott Solandic with Cornerstone Bank. Whether you're just starting your operation or looking to grow, we're here to talk you through those financial decisions. We're the kind of people who get to know you and genuinely appreciate your needs. If you're looking for a bank that's been specializing in ag banking for generations, come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Cornerstone Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
With over 900 vehicles in stock, Corwin Auto has you covered. Looking for better fuel economy? We have it with hybrids and electric vehicles. Need more room for that growing family? We have it. Upgrade to a van, SUV, or crossover. Need more horsepower to work and play harder? We have the biggest selection of new and used trucks in the area. Get exactly what you are looking for and don't settle when you can shop over 900 vehicles on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Corwin Auto has you covered. Shop online, corwinauto.com.
Fall is about tradition. Tradition on the field with Bison football and tradition in the cooler with Bud Light, the official beer of the NDSU Bison. When you're enjoying a clean sack or a perfectly timed touchdown pass, let the crisp, cold, clean taste of Bud Light tackle your taste buds. The only bigger crowd pleaser on Saturday is another Bison win. Whether it's in the tailgate zone, a couch gate at home, or inside the Fargo Dome, the Bison go best with Bud Light, the official beer of the NDSU Bison. Please drink responsibly, never drink and drive.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Mostly sunny conditions to start off your week, and a high of 77 with a light breeze out of the south. Tonight, cooling down into the mid-40s and clear skies with a 5% chance of some precipitation. On Tuesday, 74 and partly cloudy. This weather update brought to you by Brady Service Center in Moorhead. Brady Service Center is your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs, and with donuts, breakfast, and lunch items daily, they're also your one-stop shop for all your road trip needs.
Homewood Suites wants you to feel at home. This upscale extended stay brand understands that being away from home can be challenging. So Homewood Suites in North Fargo has designed their amenities to make life easier for you. At Homewood, you can relax in a variety of suites with full kitchens, complimentary hot breakfast, outdoor grills, and recreational areas that make stays more familiar. When you need to be away, but you still want to feel like home, choose Homewood Suites by Hilton. Find out more and book a stay at HomewoodSuites.com.
You're listening to your home for NDSU athletics. Bison 1660.
11:54, rounding out the first hour of this program on the first day of the week. Monday edition of the Insiders. Andy, Rob, and Micah Bindi here with you. And our show today brought to you in part by Red River Commodities with Sun Butter. Sun Butter is the maker of delicious sunflower butters the whole family can enjoy. Sun Butter is free of the top 8 food allergens, including peanuts, tree nuts, soy, and dairy, grown in the tri-state area and produced locally at Red River Commodities in Fargo. Sun Butter, simple ingredients, delicious flavor. And our game week coverage of NDSU and Arizona, this big matchup with the FBS and a Power 5 opponent, brought to you by NODAC Insurance Company. Safe drivers can save up to 30% on their premium when they download the new Drive for Less app from NODAC Insurance. Download the NODAC Insurance app to enroll and start saving today. Visit NODACINS.com. NODAC Insurance Company, the agents with answers. New FCS polls are out. New top 25s. Can we get some football bed music to round out the first hour? This is deserving of that. Not much of a change at the top. NDSU, South Dakota State. South Dakota State still getting 2 first-place votes. Want to find out who those 2 are, but okay. They're 1-1. It didn't even really blow out UC Davis by that much. I think NDSU should be unanimous on that, personally. About 52 of the 54 first-place votes. South Dakota State comes in at number 2. Montana still at number 3. They are separated from SDSU by 21 points in the poll. So there's 21 points separating second and third. Montana State at number 4. Missouri State at 5. Incarnate Word jumps from 8 to 6. The Cardinals, that was one we definitely watched on Saturday. We'll talk about that a little bit as Incarnate Word goes into Nevada and gets a win over the Wolfpack and put up, I believe it was 55 points. Again, the final in that one, 55-48, something like that. So against an FBS team that, Nevada's maybe a little bit down this year, but that's a quality FBS opponent. That's not UConn or UMass or anybody like that. That's a quality FBS win to put 55 up on them and basically do it in 3 quarters because they only scored 7 points in the first quarter. That is really impressive. That offense is legit. Lindsey Scott over 400 yards and I think 5 passing touchdowns for him at the quarterback position. So Incarnate Word up to 6. Villanova drops from 6 to 7. Sacramento State at 8. Delaware from 10 to 9 as they beat Delaware State convincingly, so they're still undefeated. At 10, Chattanooga. 11, Jackson State at 11 right now. They're 2-0, moving up. Weber State, I'd probably put ahead of them. Weber State's at 12 right now. Another FBS win there, or FCS over FBS win, as Weber State gets the nice win over Utah State, and I think it was 35-7 the final. That one was extremely convincing as well. I saw that one when we were doing Bison Hotline after the Bison victory from Applebee's. Holy Cross at 13, Eastern Washington at 14 after getting trounced by Oregon. William & Mary at 15, UT Martin at 16. A couple of unranked teams getting into the poll as Eastern Kentucky jumps from unranked to 19th. And UND beat UNI, and it was a conference game against UNI. UND won that game. They're now 1-1. They moved from unranked to number 22, and New Hampshire into the poll from unranked to 25. Kennesaw State, who started the year as a top 10 ranked team, Kennesaw State did. They're now 0-2. They have now dropped all the way down to 23. Anything catching your eye there, Rob?
No, just the continued success of UIW. I've been talking about how they're the sleeper in the FCS, and you got to imagine now that they're, close to 1,000 yards passing in 2 games. I was looking up that stat here in just a little bit, but that's another great performance against a good, not that great, but an FBS team that going up against. We had a lot of those scores coming up, and FCS taking care of business. We'll talk a little bit more about those as the show goes on.
I think it's like 802. I'm going to guess 802 because they were just shy of 400 passing yards in the first game, and then they got just over 400 in this one. I'm going to go like 802 total passing yards for Lindsey Scott Jr., the quarterback for Incarnate Word, in just 2 games.
It's unbelievable performance by him and how he continues.
You don't give away the awards after 2 weeks, but knowing the way that the Walter Payton is voted on, and kind of a stats award, basically, I think he's a front runner after 2 weeks. I think it's fair to say he's definitely going to be in that conversation with those kind of stats. And what is it, 9 total touchdowns he's thrown for? I think he's maybe ran for 1 as well. So been pretty good on the aerial attack for the Cardinals through the first couple weeks, and absolutely deserving of being number 6. Absolutely 100%. Without a doubt, you could maybe even make an argument for a top 5 team, and I couldn't say no to you.
Yeah, you were close. 797 yards in 2 games for Scott. Not a bad way to start the season.
Yeah, 797. Not bad one bit. So there's your stats FCS top 25 poll. The coaches poll, that one I believe has come out as well. Yeah, that one is now updated. Coaches poll, NDSU at 1, Montana at 2, South Dakota State at 3, Montana State at 4, Villanova 5, Missouri State 6, Sacramento State 7, Incarnate Word just at 8. Again, I never read too much into the coaches poll. This is a reason why Sacramento State should not be ahead of Incarnate Word. Just they shouldn't. Chattanooga at 10, Chattanooga at 9, Delaware at 10, Holy Cross 12, Weber State's at 13. The next Valley team is Youngstown State at 23. So you have NDSU, SDSU, Missouri State all in the top 6. And then the next Valley team is Youngstown State at 23 in the coaches poll. I'll say this, the Valley has not been impressive the first couple weeks. Southern Illinois, bad. From top 10 to unranked. And they have not looked good. And I don't try to impress the alarms after 2 weeks, but that's when I press the panic button a little bit after a couple of weeks. UNI, the same thing. I thought they'd be better this year. I thought the schedule set up well for them, but they are now 0-2. They have not looked great. South Dakota State didn't score a touchdown in the first week. Got a nice win there in week number 2, but the offense, I think it's fair to say there's a question mark or two after a couple of weeks there. So overall, the Valley not looking super impressive. Now this week, UNI faces Sacramento State, and UND faces Northern Arizona. So that's a couple of Big Sky versus Valley games. Those ones will be heavily watched to debate which conference is the best conference. Because the Big Sky it looked like the better conference here so far.
Outside of the Valley, not to go off track, but I'm thinking FCS teams. Well, one of them's in transition from the FCS to the FBS. Happened to be where I used to be. I was very surprised Sam Houston lost at home to NAU.
Yes.
And look, man, I've got respect where I used to be at, but I'm going to tell you right now, you go 2 games, you haven't scored a single touchdown after having a powerhouse last year and a half. There's a lot of worry going on right now back in East Texas, and you have got to find a way to pick that up, especially when you're transitioning to the FBS. I think that's a big area for concern right now for that school down there, and we'll see how things turn around for them. But they're in the transition year. Who knows? But that is a huge area of concern for me from used to call the games there.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find many Bison fans that are going to shed a tear saying, oh, it's unfortunate that Sam Houston's not having success at the next level. But you're right. I mean, they lost some talent. Jaquez Ezzard off that roster now, correct?
Yeah, and I think he didn't make the Commanders either.
No, I don't believe
and that's
so.
a good guy, great guy.
And a really heck of a player. I mean, dude was electric and made some big plays. So they've lost a lot of top players, and it's the same with every college football program. When you go through that stuff, it's hard to replace some of your top talent, but also making the transition hasn't gone too well for them the first couple of weeks. That will do it for our first hour as Micah Bindi plays us off with some music because I'm late. There was a coach's poll in the Stats FCS poll. What do you want me to do? Some good stuff on a Monday. We're overreacting to stuff.
We're lucky that you don't have to debut your top 15. Otherwise, we'd really be behind.
Oh, yeah, we'd be way behind. Top 15 is going to be Thursday at Sickies. By the way, tomorrow we're at Twin Peaks. So you want to come watch the show live? Tomorrow we've got a whole bunch of swag to give away. We've got some tickets. We got some yard signs, a whole bunch of stuff to give away. The show's live at Twin Peaks in Fargo tomorrow. We're at Consolidated Communications on Wednesday. We're at Sickies on Thursday. It's football season. We're out and about. We're enjoying it. And the Bison are 2-0 and getting ready for the Arizona Wildcats. Our first hour of the program brought to you by Rick Electric. When you got electrical needs, you got to go to Rick Electric. They are the pros. Don't do the electrical work by yourself. Trust the pros at Rick Electric who have done it for over 56 years, providing great electrical services for homes and businesses. Visit them online at rickelectric.com. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Kick off hour number 1. Easton Stick here in just a bit on the Insiders on a Monday.
As the days get shorter and the temps get a little cooler, now is the time to start thinking about projects for Rick Electric in your home this fall. Hey, it's Chris Hansen. Rick Electric has been proudly providing services in the Fargo-Moorhead area since 1964. Right now's a great time to schedule your winter projects, like having a Generac whole house generator with automatic transfer switch installed, or more outlets for Christmas lights. Rick Electric, 233-6194, or go to rickelectric.com.
Cardinal IG would like to shine the spotlight on their employees celebrating September anniversaries. Abdulwali Muhammad, Awis Noor, and Abdullahi Yusuf are all celebrating 20 years. John Hintamana, Dilgash Abdullah, Destalim Desta, Masamina Gilo, and Fatmana Kargbo are all celebrating their first year. From the entire team, thank you. Cardinal IG offers competitive pay, outstanding benefits, and an extensive training program. To view open positions or to apply, visit cardinalfargo.com.
No one wants to think about it, but the cooler weather and cold morning starts are right around the corner. Get your vehicle ready at one of the 3 locally owned Jiffy Lubes of Fargo. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, it's easy. No appointment needed. Just drive up and drive in for your signature service oil change and a free charging system check to ensure your vehicle will be ready when you are. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for over 40 years, where you can do more in a jiffy.
Bourbon lovers are a distinctive group, embracing the differences from other spirits, all while expecting the rich variation of a good whiskey. That's why the Fistful of Bourbon folks, who have over 100 years of whiskey blending experience, are born to serve to those lovers of good bourbon, creating the masterpiece of blending 5 distinct bourbon whiskeys, sweet, balanced, and floral, with notes of cinnamon and licorice and buttery toffee. Fistful of Bourbon delivers a smooth, rich, full-fisted flavor like all top-shelf bourbon whiskeys should. See it all at fistfulofbourbon.com. Please consume Fistful of Bourbon responsibly.
I love listening to Bison 1660, but what am I supposed to do when I can't be by a radio? I want to hear all of the coverage of NDSU athletics, but I don't live in North Dakota.
Never fear, the Bison 1660 app is here. Wherever you go and however you want to listen, you can listen for free on the Bison 1660 mobile app. Download it today on your app store and listen live to the Insiders, Fox Sports Radio, and all of our coverage of NDSU athletics. The Bison 1660 app, powered by Thunder Seed. Thunder Seed, first in the field.
Schmidt's Jewelry has the cure for your summertime blues with a beautiful diamond ring, diamond stud earrings, or a fashion pendant. Maybe you have a piece of jewelry that needs repair or sizing. Let our master goldsmiths repair your heirloom right in our store, making your summer spectacular. Schmidt's Jewelry, 3241 42nd Street South, Fargo. Online at schmidtsjewelry.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
And here's what you need to know.
A tough start to the year for the Cowboys. ESPN reports quarterback Dak Prescott is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with that injured right thumb. He's scheduled to have surgery today. Reports say the Steelers are concerned star pass rusher TJ Watt is done for the year. He suffered a torn pectoral muscle in Sunday's win over the Bengals. They're awaiting test results. Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen will have an MRI today, according to NFL media. He left Sunday's game against the Raiders. Chargers have a quick turnaround playing the Chiefs Thursday night. In a cover story with Rolling Stone, Steph Curry revealed the Warriors explored making a blockbuster deal to acquire Kevin Durant this summer. In baseball, the Dodgers are the first team to clinch a spot in the postseason with an 11-2 win over the Padres. And after he won the U.S. Open, 19-year-old Carlos Alcaraz is now the youngest man ever to be ranked number 1 in the world. I'm Nick Cope.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders. Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
12:08, a Overreaction Monday for you, and there is plenty of that going on, especially around Trey Lance as the 49ers lose Week 1 at Chicago in an absolute monsoon of a game. That's the bad, the good. Carson Wentz of the Commanders going to win in Week 1. He throws for 3 touchdowns. Yeah, a couple interceptions, but 3 touchdowns as well. 4 touchdowns as well, so played pretty well. They get a win. That's the biggest thing there. They're 1-0, and again, Dak Prescott hurt for the Cowboys. That division is right there for the taking. Absolutely, 100%.
Everybody in the NFC East but the Cowboys won.
And how about the AFC South? No team in the AFC South got a win, and 2 of the teams played each other.
That is correct.
Nobody did. The Jaguars lost. The Titans lost to the Giants, and then the Colts and Texans played to a 20-20 draw. They were down 20-3 at one point, but that's strange. I was told that Carson Wentz was the problem there. He was gone. They were going to go to the Super Bowl. Everything was fixed, and that franchise was in the right direction now with Matt Ryan. It was a massive upgrade at quarterback. That's what I was told.
Seemed like they needed better receivers. Still looks like that.
I was told it was a massive upgrade. I don't know. They were down 20-3. Came back and got the tie, I guess, but didn't get a win.
We're in the year 2022. Can we please get rid of NFL ties completely?
I would agree with you.
It's just how do you leave a game as a fan if it's tied? You can't be happy. You can't be sad. Get rid of the tie.
I think Texans fans were pretty happy. Right?
Texans fans might be.
Yeah,
but they were also up big in that game, too. So
being up 20-3 in time, probably not the best way to look at it. Give us a scoreboard sounder. We got to go through our Jiffy Lube before I go scoreboard. A couple of games from over the weekend. Quickly go through a few of these. Easton Stick will join us here in just a matter of minutes. How about at the FBS level? It was upset week in the FCS as Marshall goes to Notre Dame and gets a win against the Fighting Irish. Marshall, the Thundering Herd, with a win. That one pretty shocking, but not as shocking as Appalachian State doing it again. They've done it to Michigan in years past. This time, they did it to Texas A&M, taking on the number 6 team in the country. Pretty big upsets there in the top 10 this week for the old FBS folks.
Well, when you run your mouth, there was some Aggies running their mouth, and Appalachian State said, too bad. Look what they did. Knocked off number 6, dropped them all the way to number 18 is where they're at in College Station now.
Yeah, 17-14 the final there. Jimbo Fisher, a lot of trash talk over the offseason. We didn't buy our players. We do things the right way. We're better. Alabama's on the downswing, and Alabama gets pushed. They got pushed last week. Texas almost beat Alabama, but what happens at the end? Alabama makes the plays. They go right down the field with like a minute something left. After being stopped all game long, didn't do anything on offense. They go right down the field in the last drive, kick a game-winning field goal. They get scared in those games, but they win them. Texas A&M did not find a way to win. They lost 17-14 at home at Kyle Field to Appalachian State. And Marshall 26-21 over Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman's now lost his first 3 games dating back to their bowl game last year. He's lost his first 3 games as the head coach of the Fighting Irish. Also, BYU over Baylor 26-20. A little bit of a Baylor fan over here, so make sure I mention that one.
I was just about to mention that, Andy. I was disappointed. I wanted to see Baylor, and now they've dropped all the way to number 17. I believe they were in the top 10 or pretty close to it heading into that game.
They sure were. They were at number 9. They were in the top 10 heading into that game. USC 41-28 over Stanford. Everyone's on the USC bandwagon as they are the sexy new team to really start cheering for. Wisconsin losing at home to Washington State, also a bit of a surprise. The number 19 ranked Badgers, 17-14 the final in that one. And then Arizona and Mississippi State, the one everyone was kind of watching around here. We already mentioned that one earlier in the show. Mississippi State beats Arizona 39-17. That's a check of your Jiffy Lube of Fargo scoreboard. Jiffy Lube of Fargo has proudly served the Fargo-Moorhead community for over 40 years. You never need an appointment at any of their 3 locally owned and operated locations, so make your next stop at Jiffy Lube of Fargo today. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy. We'll take a look at some of the FCS scores a little bit later on in this hour, and there were, again, a few surprising ones. The biggest one are those FCS over FBS upsets. Weber State and Incarnate Word with a couple of those in week number 2, and there was a few others that have gone on. You love when there's, I think Appalachian State actually sent the tweet out. They got paid by Texas A&M to play that game. I think it was $1.5 million, and Appalachian State's Twitter account just simply, thanks for the $1.5 million. With like a waving emoji.
I think
Appreciate it.
Yeah, a couple teams got to do that. Obviously, Georgia Southern to Nebraska. Their number was close to $1.5 million. And what was the other upset? Why did I forget it?
Marshall was
a 1.25 mil. So teams are getting paid.
Yeah, big time getting paid in those games to go and get the win against the Power 5 opponents. So not necessarily shocking in a few of those. I think Appalachian State's done this before. Again, Nebraska's lost those games before. So it's not necessarily shocking. I know Kyle Emanuel said he wasn't shocked when I asked him, did a welfare check on him, but it's just disappointing. Continues to happen to some programs like that. Our show today brought to you in part by Herd and Horns. At Herd and Horns is the spot to go to watch NDSU football games, also owned by NDSU alums. 20-plus 70-inch TVs, so there's always a good view of whatever game you want to watch, plus 21 different beers on tap. All ages welcome, whether you're coming with your buddies, friends, or family. Herd and Horns can accommodate you all. Happy hours Monday through Thursday, 3 to 6 p.m., Friday, 3 to 5 p.m., $2 off apps and $1 off all drinks. Tuesday night is trivia night, and Wednesday night is mug night, 7 to close at Herd and Horns. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Former Bison, current Charger, Easton Stick, joins us on the other side here on The Insiders.
Where the Bison roam. Bison 1660.
Dakota Refrigeration has been helping the Bison succeed behind the scenes. From their training room to their dining room, from milk to medicine, from ice to ice cream, Dakota Refrigeration has been serving Minnesota, Montana, and the Dakotas for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, Dakota Refrigeration is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical needs. Dakota Refrigeration, located in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot.
This guy had more issues with his eyes. The minute he first came out of surgery, he walked in with a huge grin on his face, and for the first time since he was a little kid, he could see perfect.
Going to Vance Thompson Vision was an easy experience. If you're going to trust your eyes to anybody, trust them to a leader in that field.
When it came time for me to make a decision about where we were going to go for my LASIK surgery, there was no question that it would be Vance Thompson Vision.
Call 877-522-EYES to schedule a free consultation.
Living at the Bridges has been a great experience for me, and I'm inviting you to come check it out too. Hey, it's Phoenix Rolls. The Bridges has all-inclusive pricing. That means internet, cable, electric, water, everything is included in your 1 monthly payment. And it's right across from NDSU, so I can walk to practice and workouts. The amenities are insane. A fitness center, outdoor courtyard with fireplaces and grills, cyber cafe, and an automated convenience store. Tour today to find out more or go online at bridgesnd.com.
It's that time of year again. Our kids are busy with activities, and we're all running in different directions. So, stop. Take a few minutes and look around your home. Seriously, look around your home. Does it feel comfy, not chaotic? And your kitchen, is it inviting, organized, and clean? If not, do what I did. I got help from Northern Stone. They understand that a new quartz or granite counter and backsplash will refresh and change the look and feel of your whole kitchen. Northern Stone, visit Main Avenue in Fargo across from the fairgrounds.
The Bison Hotline postgame show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
The construction is almost done at the Gateway Clearance Center, and the construction sale is going strong. No negotiations necessary, and payments starting as low as $99 a month. That's right, payments starting at just $99 a month at the Gateway Clearance Center, with a great selection of clean used cars, trucks, and SUVs. And right now, every vehicle is sale priced. Enjoy extra discounts for the construction sale going on now at Gateway Clearance Center on South University Drive in Fargo, or online at fmclearancecenter.com.
Hear that? The herd is headed your way. You're hearing from the insiders right here on Bison 1660.
Welcome back into the Insiders on a Monday edition of the show as we get ready for NDSU and Arizona. A whole week to get ready for that one. But right now, let's jump on over to the Epic Companies Hotline. Continue wrapping up week number 1 in the NFL with a good buddy, Easton Stick, who's got a fun one this week against the Kansas City Chiefs and also picked up a win in week number 1. Our conversations with Easton brought to you by The Spirit Shop. If you need to stock up on all your favorites for watching football, The Spirit Shop has you covered with their huge selection of beer, wine, or spirits at the best prices and great weekly specials. The Spirit Shop off 13th behind Shields Home and Hardware, and also brought to you by Men's Hair Company, the only place you need to go for haircuts, waxing, shaves, beard care, and more, with 5 Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo locations to choose from. Go with the home team for your haircuts this football season. Schedule your appointment today at menshairco.com. And by Red River Commodities with Sun Butter. Sun Butter is the maker of delicious sunflower butters the whole family can enjoy. Sun Butter is free of the top 8 food allergens, including peanuts, tree nuts, soy, and dairy, grown in the tri-state area and produced locally at Red River Commodities in Fargo. Sun Butter, simple ingredients, delicious flavor. Delicious result in week number 1 for Easton Stick and the Chargers. Easton nice enough to give us some time. Hey there, sir. Appreciate you coming on the phones with us. Congratulations, 1-0 on the young NFL season.
Yeah, good start for us. Big division win at home, and was just a lot of fun to be a part of that one. No turnovers, no sacks. We were pretty clean offensively. Maybe sputtered around a little bit in the second half, but that's a good team we were playing. They got those two edge rushers that are really good, and so I thought we kind of handled everything you really could going into that first game. So good to start that way.
I would say a lot of people in the offseason said the AFC West was maybe the best or the most loaded division in the NFL, and I think it's hard to disagree after the way Week 1 went for the division, and obviously got one more game in that division tonight as the Broncos and Seahawks play. But these are the games the last couple of years, East, and you guys haven't been able to find a way to pull out these one-possession games against division opponents. I know it's just Week 1. Everyone says cool your jets after Week 1. Teams aren't as bad as you think they are or as good as you think they are. But for it to be a division game and be a one-possession game, it's got to feel a little bit more important than just the one-game aspect.
Yeah, it's huge. I think, we brought in and added a bunch of pieces to our team, into our locker room this offseason, and you kind of saw it all coming together through training camp and getting a feel for everybody. But first time, live bullets where everything matters, everything counts, we're all together. And I think the guys stuck together, played hard, and it was really a clean game. I think, like, procedurally, getting on and off the field, all those little details that seem like they're easy, sometimes aren't. And I think you saw that a little bit around the NFL yesterday with different games, and I think we handled that stuff well. And so I think that's a sign of a strong team, a good team, and we'll have another tough one coming up this Thursday, but it's definitely a good way to start.
Hey, Easton, going back, your team on the other side of the ball in the defense, I mean, as advertised, it's been a big hype this offseason and just how the defense has gotten built up. 3 interceptions, 6 sacks. Talk a little bit about how that defense was in this opening week.
Yeah, they were fantastic. It was so much fun to watch. And you saw it at practice, and then, as the week, goes and the game plan gets put in, you're kind of excited about it, and then getting a chance to see them go out and execute and really make some unbelievable plays. Asante with the interception in the end zone, Bryce, undercutting her out underneath and making a play, Drew, going up and getting one. So 3 takeaways, and then the pass rush was strong all day, 6 sacks, and there wasn't a lot of room back there for Derek to move. So they played great, and really happy for them.
Now you guys got to shift your focus quickly, right? You don't get to celebrate or enjoy the Week 1 win. You got a Thursday night game and another in-division game, a couple of division games to start off the schedule for you as you go to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs on Thursday Night Football. What does this week look like for you now that it's a shortened week?
Yeah, a quick one. Khalil made the joke yesterday in the locker room after the win. We're celebrating in the cold tubs this week. Get your body right, and this one's over. We're moving on because Wednesday morning we'll be on a plane to Kansas City and getting ready to play another one. So it goes quick. Monday we're in there and kind of cramming a little bit, trying to get your body right, and then just really trying to get into the tape and get as good of a feel as you can, and get started on the game plan for Kansas City, and kind of same deal Tuesday. It's really there's no live reps this week because in a typical week, Monday, Tuesday, you're not practicing, and so your body's just not ready to do that. So it'll be a bunch of walkthrough time and a lot of meeting time. It's pretty much all classroom stuff, and so just getting a feel for it, and then getting your body as healthy as possible because Thursday comes quick.
A couple of questions on the Thursday Night Football aspect. Well, first off, do players like it? Because, it's a shortened week, but then everyone says it's kind of like a mini bye on the back half where you're getting a week and a half for your next opponent, almost a couple of extra days, almost like an extra bye. And then also when it's a team in division that, I know it's just the second game of the season, but you've seen these guys, what they do, what their tendencies are in terms of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And even the defensive side for Kansas City as well, you have kind of a game plan for them. Is it easier with a Thursday night game when it is a division opponent?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some familiarity there in playing a division opponent, a team we've played a couple times a year, for a while now, and there was no turnover, at least defensively on that staff, and so you have a feel for what they've looked like in the past. Now it is the second game of the season, like you said, and so there's a bunch of unknowns that way. Personnel-wise, they're a little bit different, especially in the secondary, and so all that can change. How a defensive coordinator calls it, and even some of the similar calls, how they express themselves, and so it'll be different a little bit. And as far as whether guys like the Thursday night game or not, I don't know. I think you kind of said it. It probably depends on when you ask that question. Early in the week, probably not so much, but the long weekend after the game is nice. Now, it being so early in the season, it's probably not something we need necessarily. You had the Labor Day weekend, you had a few days off, and we're just really trying to get into the regular season flow and routine right now. And so this is the earliest I've ever been a part of it. Obviously, it's personal of the year, so it'll be a little bit different this year, unique, but fun challenge for sure.
Starting with those two in-division teams, does that put more pressure on you guys to maybe perform better? Does the coaching style change at all? What have you seen from that?
I don't think so, and I think that was intentional by our coaches and by our leaders. Is there really isn't anything to do differently if you're doing things the right way, already on a day-to-day basis, and I think we really do a good job of. And I think it starts with kind of Justin and his leadership of, just preparing the right way every single week. And you talk about a faceless opponent, a nameless opponent, and it really is that mindset. I think that's, what's special about North Dakota State and what's really, I think, being developed here is the standard is the standard, and regardless of who you're playing or how you're feeling, a primetime TV game, or it's a short week like this week, man, you just got to show up and go to work and treat it the right way. And when you do, I think good things happen. So that's the way we're approaching it, and I think that's the right approach.
In Chargers quarterback, former Bison Easton Stick here with us. Our conversations with Easton brought to you by Men's Hair Company, The Spirit Shop, and Red River Commodities. Tonight, Easton, a team in your division, the Broncos, get their season going against the Seahawks on Monday Night Football. I know, obviously, a short week. You guys got some long nights at the office possibly here. But do you guys watch Monday Night Football when you're not playing in it? Is that something you guys, maybe you and Justin or somebody, will sit down and watch, especially with an in-division team there?
Yeah, I think everybody's tuning in a little bit. Maybe not as intently as you guys are, but it's certainly on, and watching it and definitely seeing highlights. And like you said, when it's a division, people in the division or certain players, I think you tune in a little bit more. But yeah, I think we're definitely tuning in. And Shep's in Denver, so chatting with him a little bit throughout the week and kind of hearing what's going on over there. So that's exciting, and we'll be watching because of that too.
Yeah, absolutely, and great to see Shep kind of sticking around the NFL and getting another chance there in Denver. So taking a look at NDSU, shifting focus here, everybody around here is talking Arizona. This is a big game. It's an FBS game. Haven't had one since a game you remember quite well, 2016, Iowa, Kinnick, Iowa City. Your memories of that game, I'm sure, are pretty vivid still at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So much fun. The Let's Go Bison chant, as we're walking off the field, I think those will kind of ring in my brain for a really long time. And just the smiles on guys' faces in the locker room and celebrating afterwards, the flight home, all that stuff are pretty special memories. And really excited for this year's group to get a chance to go out there and compete and play. And it's just a fun opportunity to go out there and really prove yourself, and an opportunity to play someone that's a little bit different, play a Pac-12 opponent. It's just something that, like you said, it's been since 2016, so you don't get a ton of these opportunities, but really excited for this group to go out there and compete.
Easton, what advice would you have for Cam Miller, facing an FBS opponent?
I think we talked about it a little bit ago. Just stick to your routine and the way you prepare. Obviously, has been really successful and productive for him and for the team the last few years. And so just stick to it, man. FBS, FCS, Division II, none of that stuff matters at all whatsoever as soon as the ball gets kicked off, on Saturday. Field's the same. It's 11 on 11, and you'll be prepared. And so he knows that. Coach Hedberg will have him ready. Coach Entz, Coach Roll. Everybody's going to be put in a great situation to go out there and perform really well, and that's all it is. It's just another football game, and let the rest of it be what it is. But it's just another really cool opportunity to go compete.
I want to take you back into that game at fourth quarter. You guys were down by a few points, but you made it a fourth quarter game at Iowa. That's always the goal, right? Against an FBS opponent, make it a fourth quarter game, and then all the pressure's really on that FBS team. Then you get that pass to Chase Morlock to kind of put you guys within striking distance. At that point, then 21-20, and Cam Pearson then hits that walk-off field goal. First off, the pass to Chase, that little 7-yarder, a long drive too, 15 plays, 8.5 minutes or something like that. Take us into that drive and your guys' thought process trying to make it a one-score game.
Yeah, that really was the message that week. And I think not necessarily it being an FBS game, but just the style of football they wanted to play, similar to us, control the football, take care of the football, and be really good in the field position battle. I think the way that game kind of expressed itself, and we anticipated it would, was really Coach's message was let's get this thing to the fourth quarter, because if we do, man, we can wear them down and all those things if we're playing the right way. And so that's kind of the way it unfolded. We had a long drive, and we're wearing them down, and you could feel that certainly. And then just a good call by Coach Polisek. It was a scheme we had run a ton, a little play action pass that's kind of become, I think, famous because of NDSU with all the different variations of it. And Chase was probably the best at running it just because of his versatility. So it was a good scheme and popped it in there. And then Coach giving us the green light and going for two. They held the crap out of RJ on a little slant route. Didn't get called, and we come up short. And then Greg and Robbie get home on the 4-week pressure on third down, and we get the ball back, and Cam hits it through. So I think that was Coach's message throughout the week, and the guys executed really well at the end.
Yeah, you don't get that 2-point conversion. There's about 3.5 minutes left. What were the conversations on the sideline? Do you remember them? Okay, we got to get this ball back. Got to give us one more chance, defense.
Yeah, I think just the confidence that we had, Coach giving us the opportunity to go for it and making us really feel like, hey, we're here to win this game, and we're a part of it. And the defense had played great all day. They had the turnover, with Pierre and MJ, in the first quarter to really get us going. And then, they were strong all day, and so there was no doubt we were getting it back. And then it was just managing the situation and knowing where we needed to get, so Cam could get a look at it. And he was clutch, man. So there was no doubt.
Yeah, 37-yard field goal to get the win, 23-21 back there in 2016. Bison against the Hawkeyes, and Easton Stick, the quarterback there. NDSU facing Arizona this week, and you guys got Thursday night football. I don't see any Arizona players on the roster for the Chargers, so no one you can kind of trash talk with on the roster, but I assume you'll be watching that one pretty closely on Saturday?
Yeah, definitely, and I think we'll have some time to do it, so it works out perfectly. We're not always able to be tuned in, but certainly will this weekend. And so we got some FCS guys in here that we love pulling for each other's schools and following and all that. So it'll be a fun weekend for us.
Sure will be. Easton, we always appreciate it. Hopefully a fun week for you guys as well. Best of luck Thursday night there against the Chiefs, and good luck getting to 2-0.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
There's Easton Stick, 1-0 on the year, and winning one of those one-possession games that they haven't necessarily won all the time the last couple years. That's a big one early on for Easton and the Chargers. Again, they play on Thursday night football. Our conversations with Easton brought to you by The Spirit Shop. You need to stock up on all your favorites for watching football? The Spirit Shop has you covered with a huge selection of beer, wine, or spirits at the best prices and great weekly specials. The Spirit Shop off 13th behind Shields Home and Hardware, and by Men's Hair Company, the only place to go for haircuts, waxing, shaves, beard care, and more. With 5 Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo locations to choose from, go with the home team for your haircuts this football season. Schedule your appointment today at menshairco.com. I did that last week. Got a compliment on it because Brittany did such a great job at Men's Hair Co., so that's the place I go. You guys should as well. And all of our game week coverage of NDSU and Arizona brought to you by No DAC Insurance Company. Are you paying too much for your car insurance? You might be. You can have both a great rate and great service from No DAC Insurance Company. Find an agent near you at nodacins.com. No DAC Insurance Company, the agents with answers. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Still a lot to touch on from the week and a lot of news. It's great because it's football season. That means it's an Overreaction Monday. More of that when we come back.
You're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU sports. Bison 1660.
I think what makes Proceed win is we're different than the other companies in many ways with our programming, our simplicity, our non-corporate attitudes, and our personal relationship building.
What Proceed is, we bring back the old-fashioned seed buying experience. We're true seedsmen. We care about everything from the sale to the planting to following up afterwards. That's what we're all about, is just trying to bring that experience back to a personal level.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Looking to add some light and brighten up the inside of your home? Maybe you have an outdoor project or you're looking to update in the garage. Then the team at JDP Electric should be your first and only phone call. JDP Electric makes the process easy. Their dedicated team of professionals can assist with any size project or idea you may have, and even provide a few ideas they see that fit your budget as well. Don't mess with the electricity. Make sure to call in the pros. Call 701-232-1991 today to experience the JDP difference.
Make the most out of this sugar beet season with a new bed liner from Horn Plastics. Don't let your profit get stuck in your truck. Horn Plastics has industry-leading bed liners that will guarantee you get every dime out of your load. With a Super Slide bed liner, you'll not only prolong the life of your equipment, you'll increase the amount of material in each load, increase the number of loads per day, which in return makes you more money. Call today for a free estimate or to get your install scheduled. Online at hornplastics.com.
With the rising threat of cybersecurity attacks,
You need to ensure your business is fully protected. Data loss, ransomware attacks, and other breaches can disrupt your business and damage your reputation. Consolidated Communications Cloud Secure Service safeguards your business from these attacks by securing your network, data, and applications. We proactively monitor your security to prevent intrusions before they compromise your IT systems while protecting your staff in the office or when working remotely. Visit consolidatedcommunications.com/cloudsecure to protect your business.
50 burgers, 50 brews, and Bison 1660. Come out and watch the Insiders live at Sicky's Garage at their new location off 45th Street South in Fargo. Andy Rickoff and Rob Hipp, joined by special guests on site each week from 11 to 1. The Bison 1660 Pick'ems will be back with your chance to win Sicky's Bucks and plenty of other prizes. Get NDSU yard signs, Bison swag, and football tickets. The Insiders live from Sicky's Garage on 45th Street South every Thursday from 11 to 1.
Here's your Red River Valley weather update on Bison 1660.
Mostly sunny conditions to start off your week, and a high of 77 with a light breeze out of the south. Tonight, cooling down into the mid-40s and clear skies with a 5% chance of some precipitation. On Tuesday, 74 and partly cloudy. This weather update brought to you by Brady Service Center in Moorhead. Brady Service Center is your one-stop shop for all of your automotive needs, and with donuts, breakfast, and lunch items daily, they're also your one-stop shop for all your road trip needs.
This is NDSU head men's basketball coach Dave Richmond, and you're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU Athletics, Bison 1660.
Miller in the gun. Ganella his back to his left. Takes the shotgun snap, fake the handoff, looks to pass over center, has one. Oh, baby, here's Zach Mathis in for his second career touchdown right out of the gun. Oh, mama, what a play.
Big play for Zach Mathis, 2 weeks, 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty efficient, I would say, from one Zach Mathis. That touchdown got the scoring started, and that is our play of the game, our electrifying play of the game from JDP Electric. When it comes to your electrical needs, you only need one call, and that's to JDP Electric. They are professionals that can follow a strict timeline and get your project done when it's needed, so you don't have any customers waiting or you're missing out on any sales at your business. Call them at 701-232-1991 today to experience the JDP difference. Back here with you on the Insiders, this hour of the show brought to you by Dakota Bank, a new sponsor with us here on the Insiders. Very happy to have them aboard. Appreciate the fine folks at Dakota Bank. They are your hourly sponsor here on Mondays from noon to 1. Dakota Bank is one of the largest ag banks by volume and the top ag lender in the Dakotas. They are committed to be producers and families that make our communities great. Visit their new Fargo location and find out how their team is here for you. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity at Dakota Bank. Appreciate Dakota Bank jumping on board here with us on the Insiders. By the way, we are at Twin Peaks tomorrow. It's part of our Bison 1660 road tour brought to you by The Bridges. The Bridges Apartments makes college living easy with all-inclusive pricing. All your water, cable, internet, electric, it's all included in one monthly fee at The Bridges. Plus, if you lease right now for a year, you get 1 month free at The Bridges online, bridgesnd.com, or you can go see them in person just across from the Shack up there by campus for a tour today. At Twin Peaks tomorrow, from 11 to 1, your chance to win yard signs, your chance to win some Bison 1660 swag, some other prizes we'll have out there, and some freebies. So come out to Twin Peaks tomorrow over off 42nd Street, I believe, here in Fargo, over by Target as well, right over there. Great spot for them. Been fun to have them added to the Fargo area, the food scene around here. Obviously, we go to Twin Peaks every year down in Frisco. It's been a great relationship, and to have them here in Fargo is now great, too. So we'll be over there tomorrow for the show. Sicky's on Thursday as well, all part of our Bison 1660 road tour. Trey Lance, week number 1. We've avoided it up to this point, but I think you got to bring it up. You got to talk about it. That was a lot of hype around him, his first start as the starting quarterback this year. He did start a couple of games last year. But year 1 is being the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Can't say the game went the way he wanted it to go. Clearly was not perfect. But again, I said this going into the season. He's going to have ups. He's going to have downs. It's not going to go perfect. He's basically had 3 years without really playing consistent football. That's the way it's been for him, and only had 1 year as a starter in college before going to the NFL. They lose to the Bears yesterday in game number 1. He did have better stats, though, than Justin Fields. I thought there was some good things overall from him. There's definitely some things to work on. It wasn't great conditions. Micah, I know you watched that game heavily. Your thoughts, Trey Lance, game number 1?
He made the plays that I thought he was going to make where you see the flash of like, whoa. You see the talent there. It pops on the screen where he made a multi-level throw over the linebacker before the safety or corner is there. And you see that, but then you see the other plays where it's like, oh, yeah, that's sometimes what a young quarterback will do, where you see that young mistake, but he learns from it. Steve Young said it in a quote yesterday. He was talked to. He said, it's just about going from week 1. You make maybe like 4 or 5 mistakes. You want those throws back. Make less mistakes the next week. Keep improving, and then by the end of the year, we'll see where he's at.
13 of 28, 164, no touchdowns, 1 pick, also 13 carries for 54 yards in a very sloppy game where it was coming down in sheets of rain early and late. A little bit of reprieve in the middle, but for the most part, a lot of moisture on the field there in Chicago, Rob.
One of the first times that I've literally seen a squeegee on the turf pulling the rain off. Saw it on during the game and then on some of the replays earlier. But you go back to the Bears, and cornerback Jalen Johnson. I can't repeat word for word what he said because we'd have to get a few beeps in there. But they were asking, what did you think of Trey Lance? Well, in another word, he said, I don't think he did anything. You can kind of tell what he really said. He said, quote, we made him play quarterback. We know he hurt us in the run game with his feet, and everybody knows at some point he's going to run and make a play. But I feel like we really had to make him play quarterback. Like I said, he's still a young guy. I think he ended up being a good player for them, but it's early. He has to go through it. I feel like we did exactly what I said we would, make him prove himself as a quarterback.
The other side of this that you do have to bring up, it's a team game. Did Trey Lance play perfectly? No, under 50% completion percentage. You need it to be better. Just 164 yards passing. You make some more plays in the passing game. Deebo Samuel had a fumble early on in that game, gave the Bears a shorter field. Their defense played well, but gave up some points that were late, a couple of drives where they let some big plays happen in the passing game on defense. I think they had 11 penalties, too, the 49ers did. So it wasn't a clean game for them as a team, and it wasn't a clean game for Trey Lance. Already, everyone, I don't think anyone's saying start Jimmy next week. That's not happening yet because that would just be stupid and unrealistic. But, the questions will come. Okay, how many more games does he get before those questions become legitimate? Is it 1 more game? Is it 2 more games? Those are going to be questions you start to hear a little bit more and more just because Jimmy G is still on that roster. Again, as we mentioned in the first segment, Dak Prescott out for 6 to 8 weeks with a broken thumb. How much do they like Cooper Rush? Probably enough to use him this week, but if things don't go right in week 2 and you're 0-2 and facing Cooper Rush as your starting quarterback, do you trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? I think that could be a real thing for the Cowboys. It might be a trade partner for San Francisco after all.
Yeah, well, without Prescott, they're 5-7, so they're going to have to find somebody to come in there. And I was just looking at a stat that popped up, too, 19 touchdowns, terrible quarterback rating without Prescott, 43. That's not going to get the job done down there in the Lone Star State. But, I want to go back to Trey Lance real quick. Bison Nation knows how much of a leader he was here. He took ownership, talking about, hey, I made too many mistakes. He was 13 of 28, as you mentioned, 164, had the pick. And he talked about his defense, too. He said, our defense kept us in the game, but it's on me because he had that big miss down there to Tyler Kroft in the end zone. So 1 week in, some of the NFL and fans who are against the Niners and those that hate on Trey Lance are like, he's the worst thing that's came into this program already. I mean, you're hearing some chatter already. Give the guy a little bit of slack. He was not the worst starting quarterback ever. And give him some time. He's going to continue to grow and mold. Keep playing him. I'm kind of a guy, when you bring a new guy on, give him 6 weeks or so. You can't just give him 1 or 2 weeks. He's new to the NFL, very athletic quarterback, has a good arm. Give him 6-7 weeks and see what he can do. Don't give him week 1.
That's why we have meat sandwich Overreaction Monday.
Yeah, Too much meat on it from some people this morning.
Yeah, give him some time. Same thing with Christian Watson. I was at the game, Vikings-Packers. I'm happy with the outcome for the Vikings. I wish, that first play of the game for the Packers, they take a shot at Christian Watson. And they go deep, and he dropped it. It was right there. He had blown right past Patrick Peterson. He had 5 yards on him. Rodgers put it on him. That has to be a catch, has to be a touchdown. It should have been a touchdown. He dropped it. First play of his career. You hate that for the kid. I hate that for him. I want him to have success. Absolutely. There's already Packers fans making the comparison. He's Troy Williamson. Just like the Vikings who draft Troy Williamson. He could never catch the ball. Oh, my gosh, he's Troy Williamson. What an awful pick. It's like, it was literally the first play of his career. Not, it was one of the first plays. No, it was literally the first play of his career. Preseason or regular season. He didn't play in the preseason. Cut him some slack. He's going to be just fine. And Christian answered the questions after the game. Yep, got to make the catch. I will make the catch. I know it. Maybe it puts a chip on his shoulder. Maybe it's something where it actually ends up being a good thing for him, because I think Adam Thielen was asked this question. That could be the best thing that ever happens to that kid, because now he's going to be extra focused and have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder a bit and knows he's got to make those plays. So, yeah, I hated that for Christian, but he's going to make the plays at some point. And it was also on, a side note of that play. I know the result isn't good, but for the Packers on the very first play of the game to say we're going to dial up a shot to him tells me they got some confidence in him. They really like him on the very first play. That was designed, if they got the right look, that was going to Christian. And they did that on the very first play. Tells me they got confidence.
Christian will be the first one to tell you no excuse, but don't forget, he was injured too. Not coming, he finally got healthy enough to play, but he'd been battling some injuries. There was still a question mark on, will he even start this game? Will he even get to play at all in this ball game? And so you've got all that running through your head. You're making your NFL debut. Again, too much meat on the sandwich here on a Monday. Cut him some slack. Let's see how he goes after a few weeks.
Yeah, just a little bit of overreaction after game number 1. Let's take our final break. We'll come back and wrap things up here for you. Just a couple of items to close out the show on a Monday and get you ready for the rest of the day on Bison 1660 with a lot of conversation with the head coach, Matt Entz.
This is the Insiders on your home for NDSU sports. Bison 1660.
Extend your summer with a fall trip. Live a little, hit the road, and explore Minnesota in Perham, Minnesota this fall. From hiking, biking, shopping, walking, parks, picnics, restaurants, breweries, live music, golfing, fishing, boating, corn maze, pumpkin picking, and more. Or just stargaze next to the lake. Come for the day or stay for the weekend. Discover Perham at Perham.com. That's Perham.com.
Twin Peaks is celebrating Mexican Independence Day all week with specials from south of the border. Sip on cervezas like Dos Equis and Modelo. Mix it up with a spicy margarita or get straight to it with shots of Jose Cuervo. It's game on tonight at Twin Peaks as they welcome Monday Night Football with $10 street tacos and 22-ounce Coors Light or Miller Lite bundles. Watch Russell Wilson and the Broncos as they take on the quarterback's old squad in Seattle. Who do you have coming out on top after the trade? Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views.
People around here love their trucks, and men and women in most all occupations have enjoyed Muscatel's stellar award-winning service. Check out Muscatel Burns Ford selection now, for work or for play. Muscatel Burns Ford, just 20 minutes from Moorhead on Highway 10 in Hawley. Or find them online at muscatelburnsford.com. Say it with me, get your next Ford from Ward.
I'm Emily. I had my LASIK surgery here at Vance Thompson Vision. Being in the healthcare field, the highest technology is huge for patients. For me, that was the leading choice and why I chose to go with Vance Thompson Vision. Life without glasses in the operating room has been incredible for me. There's no more fogging. There's no more having issues with my glasses sliding down on my face. It's been great for me.
Call 877-522-EYES to schedule a free consultation.
The great thing about your phone or tablet is having answers right at your fingertips. Who's that guy in the movie? Where's the best deal? Stuff like that. Of course, for insurance, you can't beat the new Nodak Insurance app. It allows you to carry electronic proof of insurance, review policy info, pay your premium, keep an inventory of your personal property, or connect with your agent. Get it for your device at NodakINS.com. Nodak Insurance. Agents with answers.
Invest in your community with Epic Companies. Hey, this is Mac. Have you been looking to diversify your portfolio and dive into real estate? We offer multiple types of investing through our mixed-use buildings and entertainment plazas. If you are an accredited investor and interested in hearing more about the investment process and how you can be part of enhancing the quality of life in the area, visit EpicCompaniesND.com to review our investment options. That's EpicCompaniesND.com.
The Bison Hotline postgame show is broadcasting live this year from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo. Come see the Bison 1660 crew live after every NDSU football game and register to win prizes including Bison 1660 t-shirts, tickets to upcoming games, and a whole lot more. Plus, take advantage of the great food and drink specials at Applebee's. Bison Hotline broadcasting live after every NDSU football game from Applebee's on 19th Avenue North in Fargo, right across from the Fargo Dome. Horns up.
Full Circle Pediatric Solutions is now hiring a board-certified behavior analyst to join our growing team. If you are a BCBA and looking for an opportunity to provide compassionate, trauma-informed ABA therapy with a locally owned organization, we want to hear from you. Full Circle provides clinic, home, school, and community-based therapy and values the development of strong relationships with the families we serve. If you have a desire to help children succeed and thrive in a positive and supportive work environment, apply on our website, fullcirclepediatric.com.
Dakota Bank is one of the largest ag banks by volume in the United States, and certainly the top ag lender in the Dakotas. For decades, Dakota Bank has worked with ag producers just like you who are committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. I'm Judd Graham, Market President of our new Fargo, North Dakota location, and my team is here for you. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Dakota Bank, banking, insurance, mortgage, and trust.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Trust and insurance are not FDIC insured.
With over 900 vehicles in stock, Corwin Auto has you covered.
Looking for better fuel economy?
We have it with hybrids and electric vehicles.
Need more room for that growing family?
We have it. Upgrade to a van, SUV, or crossover.
Need more horsepower to work and play harder?
We have the biggest selection of new and used trucks in the area. Get exactly what you are looking for and don't settle when you can shop over 900 vehicles on the lot and ready for immediate delivery. Corwin Auto has you covered. Shop online, corwinauto.com.
Here on Bison 1660, we love delivering the latest Bison news, but we also love our studio home.
Back inside our fantastic studio. You can't beat this one, folks. We love this place.
Now our home has a new name, the Tharaldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Live shows and the latest coverage of NDSU athletics.
Director of Athletics Matt Larson joining us. Head coach Matt Entz with us in studio.
It's all presented by Tharaldson Ethanol, helping North Dakota lead the energy revolution. Join their growing team by visiting tharaldsonethanol.com.
Living at the Bridges has been a great experience for me, and I'm inviting you to come check it out too. Hey, it's Paige Vargas, pitcher for the Bison softball team. The Bridges has all-inclusive pricing. That means internet, cable, electric, water, everything is included in your one monthly payment. The units are fully furnished. It has a fitness center, outdoor courtyard with fireplaces and grills, an automated convenience store. And it's right across from the shack, so I can walk there every day. Tour today to find out more. Online at bridgesnd.com.
You may not have heard, but the Insiders is now under new management.
Did you see the memo about this?
Here's Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
On Bison 1660.
Trips down to the right, one receiver to the left, four up front, four code green. Pressure coming, sack, baby! Oh, he goes down at the 30-yard line. Spencer Wagee. All bets are on Wagee here this afternoon.
Great play there by Spencer as he gets the sack. Also had a forced fumble in the game. That one right there, one of our electrifying plays of the game from JDP Electric. When it comes to your electrical needs, you only need one call, and that's to JDP Electric. They're professionals that can follow a strict timeline and get your project done when it's needed. Call 701-232-1991 today to experience the JDP difference. Here with you inside our Tharaldson Ethanol Broadcast Center, a 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant located just west of Castleton. Fuel your future and join their growing team today. View open positions at tharaldsonethanol.com. Let's take another look at our Jiffy Lube of Fargo scoreboard. Why don't we? As a couple of games in the FCS that we wanted to make sure we made note of. Already talked about Incarnate Word, a big win over Nevada with a 55 points put up in that one. How big of a surprise, or is it not as big of a surprise that this offense is clicking through the first couple weeks for you, Rob?
I think it's kind of in the middle, to be honest. I mean, Incarnate Word, they've been my sleeper. I talk about it almost every show, but, I think they're going to continue to dominate. You take care of Nevada, not a top team in the FBS, obviously, but you go out there, you take care of business. You mentioned Lindsay earlier, almost 800 yards in 2 games. UIW team's for real, man. They're kind of my Delaware, they're my Delaware as they are to you.
Yeah, my Delaware is my team that I'm really high on. That other people weren't. Incarnate Word is yours, but I mean everyone's high on Incarnate Word now. But you were high on them a little bit before. I'll give you some credit. You were early on them. How about Weber State? Anybody high on Weber State? They were in my first top 15. They were 13th last week. People still said don't believe in them. Don't believe in them. They beat Utah State 35-7. The final with a nice FCS over FBS win in Logan, Utah. Weber State's defense looks legit again, and Josh Davis, 94 yards and a touchdown on the ground. Bronson Barron, 202 and 2 touchdowns through the air for the Wildcats.
Did you get a chance to catch this one? There was 4 teams. We've already named 2 that were FCS over FBS. How about Eastern Kentucky, 59-57, 7 overtimes, defeating Bowling Green. At least that's on the stat chart. Is that correct?
I believe so.
That's nuts.
That is crazy. That's why Eastern Kentucky jumped all the way up to, I think, 17th in the Stats FCS poll. There was quite a few FCS over FBS updates. Few more scores on our Jiffy Lube of Fargo scoreboard. How about Montana with a win over USD, 24-7. USD has scored a total of 7 points in 2 games so far. They are 0-2. Montana 2-0 with a couple of nice games so far for Lucas Johnson, their quarterback who transferred in from San Diego State. And then SDSU gets a win, but barely at Dana J. Dykhouse Stadium, 24-22 over UC Davis. A close one there. Isaiah Davis, 112 yards on the ground for the Jacks. That's a check of your Jiffy Lube of Fargo scoreboard. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy. They've proudly served the Fargo-Moorhead community for over 40 years. You never needed an appointment at any of the 3 locally owned and operated locations. So make your next stop at Jiffy Lube of Fargo today. And this hour of the Insiders was brought to you by Dakota Bank. Dakota Bank is one of the largest ag banks by volume and the top ag lender in the Dakotas. They are committed to the producers and families that make our communities great. Visit their new Fargo location and find out how their team is here for you. Go with commitment, experience, and integrity. Go Dakota Bank. And one last mention for you as Applebee's brings you this episode of The Insiders, and they are the home for Bison Hotline each and every game. This week, our pregame show is at Applebee's just north of the Fargo Dome. Make sure you go out to Applebee's on 19th, just north of 19th Ave in Fargo, the new home of Bison Hotline. And this week, they are the home for Bison Game Day, our pregame show of NDSU and Arizona. Yard signs, prizes, T-shirts, and tickets, a whole lot more there, plus great food at Applebee's Eatin' Good in the neighborhood. That will do it for us today on the show. Big thanks to the Hall of Famer Phil Hansen, to Easton Stick, to all of you for listening and watching. We got Matt Entz, the game week press conference for NDSU and Arizona with the head coach Matt Entz at 2 o'clock, thanks to Bonanza Egg. And coming up later tonight, 6:30 to 8, it is the Bison Football Radio Show. Rob Hipp, the head coach Matt Entz will be there. Also, Deputy AD Todd Phelps, you told me will be on that show tonight as well.
Yep, great to have Todd. We're going to talk about all the good things happening around NDSU.
And there's a few things happening really well. The volleyball team, shout out to Jen Lopez and company. They played well. And Mike Regan's soccer team picking up a couple of nice outcomes over the weekend as well. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to that football team. 43-3. Nice win there. Tomorrow on the show, our Missouri Valley Mix and some more discussion about Trey Lance. Neil and Dunn, a couple of 49ers reporters we'll have on throughout this week, and some Arizona reporters, because obviously going to be previewing NDSU and Arizona quite heavily over the next couple of days. Tomorrow we're at Twin Peaks from 11 to 1 here in Fargo. Come out and enjoy the show. Until then, have a good day. Thanks for listening to The Insiders.
Hi, this is Cody Mout. After a long week of practice and a W on Saturday, I like to slide into Hurt 'n Horns to see my friends, family, and teammates. Join your friends and family at Hurt 'n Horns for all NDSU home and away games this season. Stop in on Sundays to watch your favorite former players and my teammates play in the NFL too. Hurt 'n Horns is conveniently located on 12th Avenue